Welcome to the Beginner's Complete Airbnb tutorial for 2025. If you're brand new to Airbnb or just getting into the Airbnb space or the business, this is going to be for you because this is going to be my longest and honestly my most in-depth training on everything that I know about Airbnb, starting from the philosophy, the foundations, the applications on short-term rentals that I know to date, every topic, tips and tricks, and all the fundamental knowledge I've ever acquired and recorded, all compiled into one place so that you get the most insight, data, and information from A to Z. So if you don't know me, my name is George, and I've been in the Airbnb business for 2.5 years now, and it's completely changed my life. I went from working at Sport Check, making $12 an hour, to being able to make a little bit over, to making a little bit more with a full-time job selling cars before I transitioned and went all in on Airbnb, which not only allowed me to have my first six-figure year passively in my first year, to now 2.5 years later, the business now brings in just over $100,000 every single month. And not only has this changed my life completely, and I'm talking about allowing me to have the time freedom that I want. I travel like 6 times a year now, which is absolutely insane because 2 years ago I had barely left the country. To be able to take care of my parents, to being able to take care of my family, and just being, more importantly for me, just being able to live life on my own terms and really just playing the game called life and having fun with it, because I've been able to build a foundation, I've been able to build a system, a business that pays me while I now live the life that my heart desires. But honestly, this is not about me. I've also helped hundreds of students start their own Airbnb businesses as well through my free content and through my personal coaching, consulting, and mentorship. But honestly, that's besides the point. In this guide, I'm going to break down everything Airbnb and short-term rentals, and I'm talking about mindset, fundamentals, market analysis, competitor analysis, negotiations, interior design, setting up your listing, set up your automation, setting up your pricing, and really just understanding the entire piece of the puzzle. All of these took me hours of trial and error and thousands of dollars to test, learn, and implement, which is what I'm putting in one place for you guys. This is essentially your free course and free guide to becoming a successful Airbnb and short-term rental operator in 2025, entering 2026. And this is why majority of Airbnb hosts and other people getting into the space fail. You probably always hear the statistic of how Airbnb is dying and or Airbnb hosts are losing money or it just doesn't work anymore and it's saturated. But that's honestly not the case. The case is that majority of hosts simply give up. It's not they fail, okay? Because failing comes with any new venture. You're going to fail. You should actually expect to fail. Like the first time taking your first steps or your first time picking up a basketball. Like you're going to suck when you first get started at anything. That's because every new thing will have a learning curve. And that's where most hosts get caught up. They think all they have to do is get a house, take nice pictures, slap it on a platform like Airbnb, and expect people to just give them money, and then they'll just simply have generational wealth in a couple of months. And that's something that people honestly expect, and that's not reality. And that's honestly something that sucks with Airbnb and honestly all of these other new businesses and side hustles that let you make money online, is that it's difficult to find all the right information compiled into one video or simply in one place where you can learn and simply tune out all the noise and BS that's online, because there's so much of it that's circulating the web. And you guys can get super confused and or get outdated information or information that honestly just doesn't even make any sense, which will in turn cause you to spend more money than you have to, or just make more mistakes, which will make your process to hitting your goals even longer, if ever. So the goal of this video is to put all the relevant information in one place where you can press play and watch it start to finish, and you can have all the education necessary to build a bulletproof and profitable Airbnb business in 2025 and in 2026. And that is my goal for this video, to put everything in one place for you guys. I'm actually genuinely so excited because this is going to be awesome. And it's something that I wish I had when I first got started, but I actually had to spend like $50,000 to $70,000 to get all of this information. So being able to compile all of this and just giving it to you for free is something that I think is going to help you shorten that learning curve and really just be able to apply all this information a lot faster. So that being said, let's begin. Hey guys, so I'm not going to be showing my face on every video, but I do feel like going through a whole module with just presentations and audio is going to get quite lonely and boring, right? And part of coaching you and helping you get results and work with you is to work with you personally, right? So I want to connect you guys a little bit with these videos. I'm going to be doing it at the beginning and the end of every week, just to give you guys a little personal touch. Okay, there's no specific why. There's no specific reason as to why I'm gonna do that. There just is. So now let's get to the matter at hand. Okay, this is gonna be the most important video in the entire course, and this week is gonna be the most important week in this entire course as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys like a code word, right, to comment at the end of this video. I'm gonna give you guys a code word to comment at the bottom of the comment section to prove that you watch this. All right, this video is going to dictate whether you succeed or fail. So do watch the entire thing and watch this entire week, because I guarantee you, if you don't, you're not going to succeed. I can promise you that right now. Okay, and that code word that I'm going to give you, comment it at the bottom, because when you're actually going through the group and you're asking questions and you're stuck somewhere and you don't have the results and you're probably wondering why, I won't tell you. We're not going to expose you, and the team isn't going to tell you and say, hey, like, this is what you need to do. We're not going to just call you out on it. We're just going to use this code word, and you're going to know exactly why. After you watch this video, you have an exact understanding as to why. Okay, so the most important way to get results in this program, off the bat, is to not do dumb stuff. Okay, congratulations, you graduated. I'm kidding. But that's it. Okay, and there's a specific list of dumb stuff that I see people do every single day that stops them from getting the results. The concept I have for this is called being a mothman. All right, it's not a concept that I came up with, so I'm not taking credit for this, but let me explain. Okay, so moths love light. If you have a light and a zapper, you have like 100 moths, they'll all fly to it, they'll all flock to it and die. Right, you'll see the first moth go in, he'll get zapped, dies. The second moth, same thing, and the other moths see the moths going to the light and dying, and guess what happens? They do the exact same thing. Why? Because they're stupid moths, okay? We know that. But let's extrapolate that a little bit. Let's actually dig deep as to why, right? Because moths take the path of least resistance and take the easiest route, right? Even though it doesn't work for them, that's what they do because it's easy and it's convenient for them. As human beings, we have the exact same trait, or very similar traits. When we do what is easy, we know it's not good for us. And the thing is, we're smart enough to even realize that it's not good for us. And we'll do it anyways because it's kind of like a habit and it's built within our system. Okay, so what, like, kind of like a person who's overweight, they know that they should be eating healthier, and they still do the exact same thing. Okay, so to get results in this program is to know what and to understand what you shouldn't be doing, and actually not doing those things. Okay, so if you go throughout the program and realize these, and I'm going to talk to you exactly what that looks like. But when you start realizing these things and you go to the program, you're actually going to have way more success because of it. The most important thing, and the most important key to get the results in this program isn't to do anything excessive or overboard or just be extra about anything. That's not how you get results. It's going to be very simple. Just don't do the things that you know won't give you the results. Don't take the easy path. Don't take the path of least resistance. Okay? So things to never do if you don't want to succeed. Okay? One, don't join the group. So don't join any of the Facebook group. Don't introduce yourself and don't ask any questions. Okay? Don't ask questions. Don't join the Q&A. And don't reach out to me for support if you have any questions. Don't do those things. Okay? The people who don't succeed, they join the program, and trust, people do this all the time where they join the program, they don't do anything, they try to skip around, or they think like they know everything already, and they just don't do any of the work. They don't join any of the group. They don't comment. They don't join the Q&As. They don't ask me questions. They don't email me. They don't reach out to the team. They don't do any of that and expect to succeed, right? You cannot suffer in silence and expect to succeed, okay? So if you want to be successful within this program, just do the opposite of everything I just talked about, okay? That was number one. So number two is skipping around, okay? I understand when you're taking a new course or you're in a new program, the urge, right, the instinct is to go and skip around, find a few videos, see what you think is going to work best for you, and just focus on that, and just watch a video here and there and there. Skipping to what you think will be the most important for you, right? That's not how this is going to work. So there's no one video that you can watch, or there's no 15 minutes that will solve all your problems for your business. There's no one thing they can do to solve everything. There's not secret key. Okay, it's through the process of internalizing, watching every video, watching the flow of how I actually process the information for you to digest, that's going to give you the results. Okay, you deciding and saying, I'm going to watch this or I'm going to watch this, it won't give you the exact same results. I'm telling you that right now as the person who's actually creating this. Okay, if you want the results, what you're going to have to do is actually take the time to watch everything step by step, because I've set it up in a way that if you do watch it step by step, you will get the results if you apply them. And which leads me to another point. If you can't take an hour, 30 minutes a day or an hour a day to even go through this entire thing, then we have a problem just from the beginning. That's a whole different problem, right? To not be able to actually sit down in front of a computer, take notes, and not be distracted. Just do focused work for about an hour or 2 hours. If you can't even do that in this video, we're not going to be successful. We're not going to be successful at all. So that's going to be a different problem. But so back to what I'm saying, this one video, right? You can't just watch one video. You have to go through the entire process, and that's how you get the success. So the reason why my business works isn't because of one thing, all right? But because of how everything connects with everything else, okay? So one of these things out of place, the whole thing will unfold, okay? Because everything connects to everything else, okay? So you remove one or two things, it doesn't work anymore. Right? So that's why it's going to be extremely important for you to go through every single thing one by one, and it'll make sense at the end and watch the magic just unfold in front of you. But that's how I recommend we go through this entire program. Another thing, which is number 3, is that people come in here with ego. Okay, so I see people coming here all the time. Maybe they're going to be a little bit older than I am because I'm still quite young, or they've made a little bit of money doing this or doing other things, and I think they can come in and they decide they pick and choose what they want to do and what they don't want to do, thinking that will give them the success just because they made a little bit of money. Let me be honest with you. If you haven't made $1 million a month or even like multi 6 figures in a month, you still have a lot to learn about business. Okay, I'm not here to tell you how to think or what to think. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to just say, like, let's take a step back and actually come in with a student's mindset. Let's come in like we don't know anything and observe, because there are going to be people that have a little bit of information, not more information, just information that you don't have access to yet, that once you have, you'll get to the next step. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to succeed. But to succeed, we have to understand that we're not where we want to be. Okay, and have the humility to realize that and to come in, open our ears, be attentive, be receptive to the information and utilize it instead of picking and choosing what we decide, because that's not going to work. Because honestly, this journey is going to be tough, right? It'll drain you if you don't do the things the right way, all right? Anything worthwhile will drain you if you don't do it the right way, okay? So I'm just trying to make it as easy as I can for you. So if you just come in with an opening ear, we will have the success. But if you come in just picking and choosing what we want to learn, forget about it. So that's number 3. Number 4 is that I can tell if someone isn't going to be successful or won't be successful if they just take forever to apply something, okay? Because I can find 10 potential properties, reach out to the landlords, negotiate a deal, and have all the paperwork signed and ready to go in about 2 to 3 weeks. About 2 to 3 weeks, you can find 10 properties, 10 potential properties that are not going to make me profit, do all the paperwork, sign the lease, talk to the landlord, have my team ready. In 2 to 3 weeks, I know I can lock in 1 or 2 of them and be good to go in less than a month, okay? If it's going to take you if it's going to take you 1 entire month to find 1 potential property, we're done. Right, it's going to take us a year to find a property, right? Because the thing is, business is about speed. Okay, you have to be faster than other people, because if you're not faster than other people, you're going to lose every single time. So it needs to be speed. Obviously, I'm going to help you cut out a lot of the planning and testing and shortcut a lot of things for you, all right? But if you aren't able to take action and attack, you won't be able to move fast enough to get the results that you want in the time that you want. Because look, I know we all have the urge to work a little bit and then take a break, right? Maybe take the week off, the weekend off, and just hang out and take a drink and relax. But there comes a point in everyone's lives where we know we're not where we want to be, and we just have to lock in, just for a short period of time, to be able to do the things, get the results, actually take the actions, so that the rest of our lives look a lot better. But if we can't sit down for a week, sit down for a couple of hours a day, 3, 4, 5 hours a day in the beginning, and really just lock in for a short period of time, just so we can have the life that we want, it's going to take us for even longer if we even get there. Okay, so there's going to come a time, and that time is right now if we're here, that we have to really lock in, focus, and actually take that step towards something that we know and we have full faith that will get us the results that we want. That's why we're here. So let's take this seriously, right? And let's not take a month or 2 months or 3 months to apply things. As you learn the things, start applying them in your day-to-days, in your business, and watch the result. Okay? And last thing, and I'll combine these 2 things, is you resist painful changes, or you don't take criticism well. Okay? So let's talk about that. If you aren't where you want to be in life or in your business, that means something is wrong, right? So in the case of business, maybe your pricing strategy is off. Maybe your interior design is off. Maybe the whole property needs to be reworked, okay? Sometimes in business, we have to scrap everything or a very big chunk of it and restart to be able to get to the next step. Sometimes we have to stop doing the things that we may not even realize are hurting us, but we actually think it's good for us. We have to stop those things to be able to get to the next step. And those are going to be painful, okay? But the thing is, if you want to be successful, you got to lean into that pain.
Because if you work at something extremely hard, but it's the wrong thing, no matter how hard you work on it, thinking it's going to be right. If it's the wrong thing, it's going to be the wrong thing. So we have to have the wisdom and the understanding that sometimes things are going to be rough. Sometimes things aren't going to work the way we want it to. And we have to be able to pivot as quickly as possible when that happens. If we're able to pivot as quickly as possible and iterate in the right steps, our success is going to come a lot sooner. But if you want me to tell you like what you want to hear, right, and you don't want me to criticize you in any way and just be upfront with you and just be honest and just be a yes man to you, that's completely fine. I can open up another course specifically for you and just take your money. It'll be free money, okay? But the fastest way to get the results is to tell you what you're doing wrong. That's the fastest way, right? So if you want me to tell you what you're doing wrong and be able to grow that way, you're going to grow your business 10x faster than anybody else because you're willing to take the advice that I'm giving you. Because think about it. Do you think I'm going to tell you that your listing is horrible or that your price strategy is horrible because I just want to make you feel bad? No. If I'm going to be saying this, because Gio knows what he's talking about, and he wants you to have success. So he's probably telling you this to make sure that you make the adjustments that you need so your business can be better. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do here. So if we can look at in that perspective, every criticism that I give you, even though it might hurt or might be, sometimes it might even be offensive if I tell you that your listing doesn't look good. If your listing is horrible and I tell you that, it's not because I'm just trying to insult you. It's not because I don't want your listing to be successful. It's because I want us to make the necessary changes. I'm not going to ever straight up just roast you. I'm never going to do that. But I do want to make sure that you know where I'm coming from whenever I am going to give you advice about your listing and we just do an audit and answer your questions. So the 5 things that are going to stop you from being successful is not using the group, not asking questions, not joining the live calls and asking questions and reaching out to me or my team about how we can assist you, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is literally just skipping around. So skipping around the videos and finding what you think is going to work for you. 3 is assuming that you know everything. All right. So you assume that you know everything, that you know what's best for you and really just not listening or taking my guidance or advice. 4 is literally taking forever to apply the thing. So taking a month to find one potential property. And 5 being not going headfirst into painful changes, right? And taking advice and criticism. Okay. So you don't do these 5. You just don't do them and you'll be successful. Whenever you're going through the course and you notice yourself doing any of these 5, you know, or you should know, or we will tell you that these are the things that are going to stop you from being successful. So if you just don't do these things, your success is going to be inevitable. Okay. If I ever see you doing any of these things throughout the group or throughout the program, I'm going to write Mothman. Okay. So that's exactly what I want you to put that in the comment, saying I'm not a Mothman. So I want you to put that in the comments. I'm not a Mothman, or just put down Mothman. So I know, or Mothwoman. So I know that you actually got to the end of this video and actually watched it and you're actually going to be implementing it. So write in the end of this video, I'm not a Mothman, or just write Mothman or Mothwoman, so that I know that you actually watch this. Because if you just don't do these 5 things, you'll be successful. But do these 5 things and watch yourself do these 5 things and call yourself out on it. When you stop doing these things, we will get a lot closer, and then we can actually start succeeding and getting to the next part of this.
Hey guys, so before we dive deeper into this video about the paradox of success, this is an updated video because I really wanna emphasize the importance of this video. The things I'm about to talk about and what the paradox of success means and the concepts I'm going to describe, you may have heard it before, maybe on YouTube. You may not have ever heard it before, and it might sound a little bit crazy. But let me tell you something, like, these concepts are real. I'm now posting this video in 2025 in August, and I'm letting you know that following these concepts has now gotten me over 6-figure months in revenue and in profit in my Airbnb business. So I'm saying all of this so you have some context. I'm not saying all of this to showboat or to flex. I don't really care about any of that. All I care about is really just your success. So I'm shooting this because I want you to know that these concepts are very, very, very accurate, very, very real. I was told this and I was taught this a very long time ago, hence the video. But I'm actually living the reality in which this paradox actually talks about. And I'm saying that it's true and it's true. So you need to pay attention, because if you can't crack through that mental barrier, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you, and you'll always be wondering why you aren't reaching the success you want to reach. So I'm making this quick video in the intro I'm making this quick intro to the video I just had the word and then I lost it. I'm making this quick intro to the video to emphasize, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm going raw dog, I'm not going to edit any of this. But to really emphasize what this mindset and this shift and this paradox can actually do for you. So pay attention closely, make sure you take notes, and I'll see you guys in the video. Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about what it truly takes to succeed, what it truly takes to win, right? Um, from my perspective, my experience in the world of business, as well as on top of that, people that I know who've been in business for a long period of time and have had massive amounts of success, either in a short period of time or just over the course of them being in business. One thing that I did learn and that I've put into practice is that success isn't necessarily about the things that you do or the tips and tricks. It's more about the person that you are, right? So it's not about success itself, more about becoming the kind of person that attracts success and opportunities. Success is in the person and not the thing itself, right? The thing about achieving success that so many people get wrong is that, first of all, they think it's far away, right? Secondly, they think they have to like do this meditation and like go to the gym and really just feel good and be motivated to be successful. And that how and like though that's definitely part of it, success is more about cultivating the person behind it, cultivating the you, right? It's more of a journey. That's how you attract success. I don't know if you guys read like the law of attract, if you guys know about the law of attraction or have read the book, but what that means is really just becoming the kind of person that attracts success, becoming the kind of person that is successful, right? So it's not in the things that you do, but it's more about the person that you become. And that's why this module and this week is going to be one of the most important ones, because it's not about the business in itself. It's about the actual person doing the tasks, putting in the effort, right? Because and that's where you see that you have one program, something like this, and you have people with vastly different results. The program is the same, but the results are different. Why is that? It's because of the person doing the program. It's because the person's mindset, their attitudes, their perspectives, their action threshold, things like that, right? It's the person behind it. That's what's going to determine the success, right? I can give this same program to 100 different people, and in that 100 different people, you might have one person that makes $1 million a year in a couple of years. Why? Because and the information was the same, but why was it? It's because of the mindset of the person doing the thing, right? It's because of the mindset of the person doing the thing. This module is going to be about output and efficiency. Everything in this module is going to be regarding output and efficiency, so that it doesn't matter what you do, but you'll be successful in it, right? Because it's not about the program, it's about cultivating the success. You must be worthy of success in who you become. Okay. I don't know if you guys know. I don't know if you guys know who Alex Hormozy is, but he says that you have to put in so much effort that it would be completely unreasonable for you not to get the results. Because if you're putting in that effort and seizing the opportunities and really just utilizing everything to its fullest potential, there's literally almost no conceivable way that you won't have the results. Right? The odds that you won't succeed are literally stacked against you. So that means you have no choice but to succeed if you maximize your output. And all of this is really just going to come down to output maximization, right? That's what it's going to come down to, because you can have everything laid out in front of you, but if you don't take that step, you'll not be successful. Okay. The number one thing that will cripple you is the mindset of how can I be successful without experiencing any pain and sacrifice.
And I know I was guilty of this as well, especially as I started getting into business and really just all the things that I tried leading me to this point. Like I said, I didn't have like someone as I was growing up to show me all the things that I'm doing right now. I really had to figure this out by myself, right? So I had to go through the trial and the errors, falling for things that never were even going to work. This hopeful ambition of a child trying to make it in a world that's gonna spit you out if you don't really understand things, right? And I always thought that sacrifice and pain were something that you could avoid on your path to success. So every time something got painful, I'd actually take a step back and stop, right? We spend so much time avoiding the truth and avoiding the truth, and as on top of that, like avoiding the pain. But the thing is, the pain is inevitable. The pain is actually a benchmark for success. You should actually be seeking the things that are the most painful and the things that the literally seem the most painful. Why? Because those are the ones that you most likely have to, those are the things that you most likely have to do to achieve your success, right? You're going to reach a point where your business or whatever you're working on is going to plateau. Okay? And when that happens, you start making excuses, right? Because the reason things plateau is because the output plateaued, right? But we're so quick to blame external factors when there's something intrinsic within us that we're actually missing, right? So we start making excuses for that, okay? Start making excuses for that, so much so that we don't get the results that we want, right? If you don't sacrifice the things that aren't going to get you to your goal to and get you to the next career of your life, to get you to the next step or the next destination in your life, if you're not willing to sacrifice the things that aren't going to get you there to get there, then the things that you actually want will become the sacrifice. Your goal becomes a sacrifice if you don't, like, you can only, like, there's always going to be a sacrifice, whichever way you look at it. You either sacrifice the things you don't want and things that aren't going to get you to your destination, or you're going to sacrifice your goals and end up settling for a lesser outcome. You pick your sacrifice. And what happens if you sacrifice your goals for a lesser one is that you start feeling empty, right? You provide no value to society and the people around you. And what happens then is you become resentful. You become fearful, you become frustrated. And that's how you start hating people who are already successful because they were able to do something that you weren't. They were able to overcome the obstacle and you were simply not able to do that. That is how people get resentful. So when you start seeing, like, sometimes you're scrolling through social media, you start seeing people that are just hating the people who are rich. The thing is, those people started out like me and you. They started with a hope and a dream and an ambition to be more and to do more. But along the line, they stopped, they plateaued, and they couldn't sacrifice and they couldn't do what it took. They couldn't make the sacrifice necessary to achieve their goals. So the goals ended up becoming the sacrifice. Like, we might think we're very different, but we're not that different. The only difference is the choices that we make today, the choice that we make every single day. Are we going to make a choice that's going to get us closer to our goal, or are we going to make a choice that's going to take us further away? And that's a conscious choice that you make every single day. We have the power to achieve our own outcomes. But the question is, are you strong enough to fight off or to fend off the obstacles and you have the power to fend off the obstacles and really the distractions that are going to come along the way. All right? Because if not, you don't do these things, all you can end up is with excuses and laziness. Right? The answer and solution to many of these things involve removing, stopping, and making ugly, sometimes uncomfortable, mostly going to be uncomfortable decisions that you don't want to make. Right? That's where the pain is going to be. Those are the things that you can't avoid, that we try to avoid because we think it's going to be easy, but it's not. This game is not going to be easy. Sacrifice is hard. Truth is hard. Saying no to things that you really want to do, but you know that they aren't going to get you to that next step, that's going to be difficult. right? If you know it's not going to push you to your goals, you say no to it, like that's one of the hardest things that you can do, because probably everything in your body is telling you that you want to do this. But then in the day, like if your body knew what was best, you would have had the success you wanted already. But the things that we don't want, it's because our body craves it, right? And these are all intrinsic things that we talked about, and we're going to talk about a little bit more throughout the program, that your body's going to think is right, but your mind knows it isn't. You have to follow your mind. You have to follow what your mind tells you. Okay? I don't know if you guys have heard this thing called the paradox of success. But imagine you're a basketball player rising through the ranks. All right, so you get into like college ball, right? Because you're literally better than everybody around you. You just blow past all of the high school players, right? How do you do that? By being better physically and mentally, okay? But when you get to the pros, when you get to like the NBAs, like college basketball, when you get to the pros, like being 10 times better than everyone else, that doesn't work, because now everybody is literally the best. You're literally in a room full of the best, right? Everyone's physically and mentally just on par with you, if not better. So it's going to be really, really hard to be 10x better when everyone's already like that much more optimized, right? You must beat those people to get ahead. And how do you beat them? You beat them in the margins. You don't, like in high school, you beat people by being 10x better than all of them, right? Because it's just no one's that good, right? You're playing in the little leagues. But when you get to the top of the top and the top 1%, especially like when you start getting to the top of the hosts in the city or in the country, it's not about being 10x. It's about being better than them at the margin. So it's really just about optimizing in the fractions. That's where the success is. Because if you think about it, right, like I'll give you an example of like either basketball, even use Usain Bolt. He trained for 10 years to be 0.01% faster than this person in second place. When you're at the top, and let's say in the Olympics, another example, you're not beating people by miles. You're beating people by milliseconds. You're beating people by 1%. It's those 1% optimizations that'll get you there. That's how you have to think about success, especially at the highest levels possible. And I'm assuming if you're here, you're trying to get to the highest levels possible. That is how. By beating everyone at the 1% margins, by being just that much better, even if it's just a little bit, because that's going to dictate if you get a $10,000 booking, a $15,000 booking, or if they just go with the other person. One thing you need to know is that your competition is not only as smart or smarter than you, it's that they're optimized, right? So you're no longer trying to beat high schoolers. You're going against the Kobe Bryants. You're going against the top performers in the city, in the country, sometimes even in the world. Especially being in North America, especially as you grow your business, you're going to start expanding into different markets. Everyone in different markets are going to be very optimized. So you have to come in knowing exactly what you want and being able to go and get it. And you're not going to do that by being 50% of the way in. Because imagine you being 50% of the way in versus people who are literally practicing at 100% efficiency and 100% optimizations every single day. You going 50%, they're going to destroy you. Even you going 99 or 98%, they're going to beat you. You have to be on top of your game. And this is not just in the Airbnb game. I'm talking about in life in general. If you're looking to get into business, you have to think about it like this. You have to be better. You might not see it around you, but now that your competition is literally the world, you have to think about it like this. Okay? One thing I suggest is watching Kobe's interviews and documentaries. Right? The reason why he was the best is because he takes every single advantage to complement his raw talent. He takes every single advantage, even in the 1% margins. Scaling a business isn't about tactics and strategies. It's not going to be about that. It's just about beating other people and being better than them. And the way you do that, especially at the highest level, is by being optimized for that. The real difference at the high level, right? This is how to be a winner, is to be smarter than everyone, be more organized, be more focused, think more clearly, simply have more energy, and be extremely disciplined, right? Like when you're coming into business, when you're trying to be the best, if you're looking to be making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures a year, which is if you're not here to do 6, 7, or 8 figures a year, like you shouldn't be here, to be honest with you. If you're trying to get to these levels, the other people who are also trying to get to these levels, pardon my French, but they're not fucking around. They're not screwing around. They're not here. They're not here to play. They're here to. This is their life. And I'm not talking about just the Airbnb game. I'm talking about like achieving success. Their life's purpose is to be successful, and to, some people want to quit their job. Some people want to retire themselves. Some people want to retire their families. Everybody has these dreams and ambitions, and so do you, and that's why you're here. But this really gets reflected in your actions. The people doing business making under 10K or even 100K a month, they're trying to be successful without doing any of the hard stuff or even sacrificing. Right? So you have to sacrifice and do the hard things if you want to get to the 20K, 50K, 100K, even 200K months. You have to be able to sacrifice, because that's not easy. But that's when you're versing the best of the best. Okay? If you're here to make 3K to 5K per month, you can do that without sacrificing. But would that really be enough for you to really hit your goals and get to your destination of retirement, of financial freedom, of time freedom, of location freedom? 3 to 5K a month, if you're here to do that, like, that's completely fine. You could just watch the videos, take the courses, and we just get 1 or 2 properties to be able to do that. But if you're looking to get to 20K, 40K, 50K, 6-figure months in this business in less than 3 years or even 4 years, to do that, you have to be willing to sacrifice and be willing to be optimized for that. All right? I don't know if you guys know who John D. Rockefeller is. If you don't, you should definitely look up who he is and how he was able to amass such fortune. But it wasn't because he was smarter. It wasn't because he was smarter or more talented. He just didn't fuck around. Right? Everything was optimized to the 0.1 degree. And everything he did, every step he took, every move he made was aligned with his ultimate goal. Right? The competitors were smart, but they're only operating the competitors were smart, but they're only optimizing. The competitors were smart, but they're only operating at like 60, 70%. They were neglecting so many different things in their business. And this is how he was able to come in and seize opportunities where no one else was seizing. When you come into any business, you have to see what the competitors are doing good, but also see what they're not doing good at. Come in and just take over. That's how you get successful. When you're looking at a listing and that listing is performing very well, look at what they aren't doing. Look at the reviews. What are they not doing correctly that you can come in and just take that market from them? That's how you win. Because people are smart. Everyone's going to be smart, right? But you just have to be smarter. And how do you get smart? How do you operate smarter than people who are already doing well, seemingly? At the margins. Don't focus on beating the entire business. Focus on taking one client. Focus on getting one extra booking. Focus on fixing your listing by optimizing by 1%. You do that, success is honestly going to be inevitable. Success is going to be inevitable. That's what I want to talk about for the most part in this one video. It's really just going to be how to attract success, and that success is not what everyone thinks it is. To really attract success, you must become the kind of person that is going to be successful. And what does that mean? It means in your actions, in your thoughts, and the things that you really do every single day. You can't wish success to come to you. People think that the law of attraction is saying, oh, I wish to succeed, I wish to succeed, I wish to succeed. That's not what the law of attraction is. The law of attraction is become and you will have. And I've seen this every single day, and I've seen this in my life. So I'm not talking about like this Google Gaga like self-help stuff, even though like it is very, very beneficial. What I'm talking about is simply sitting down with yourself and saying, what are the things that I can do on a day-to-day basis that I know that if I did, I would have more success for myself. That could mean exercising. And what exercising simply does, it puts you in a better state of mind. Okay? If you're competing at 70% in your state of mind, and you're competing with somebody who's operating at 100% in their state of mind, they're going to beat you every single time, no matter what business you do. They're going to beat you every single time. Okay, so it's not just about working out and waking up early. It's about the things that it does to your mind, to your mental health. Because when you're operating at 100% in your mental health, you will go so much further than someone who's operating at 20% because all they're doing is eating donuts all day and really just watching television for 10 hours a day. Like they're not going to go anywhere. They're simply not going to go anywhere. If you're trying to get somewhere, you have to understand yourself, your mind, and your body, and where you can optimize. Because when you can optimize yourself, your business will just be optimized as a byproduct. Your business is going to be a byproduct of your self-development. Your business is a reflection of you. You can't be undisciplined, unmotivated, and expect your business to be disciplined and motivated. That's not how it works. As the operator, that's not how it's going to work. Your business is a reflection of you. It's an extension of you. So if you can perform at peak efficiency every single day and show up, your business is going to show up that much more every single day. That's what it takes to succeed. That's how you build success. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build long-term wealth. And once you have that, and you build that character, and you build that person, man, it doesn't matter if you're doing Airbnb, drop shipping, this, that, and the other. Even when you get into real estate, it doesn't matter. You're going to kill it because you became that kind of person. That's how you win in business. That's how you win in life. Hey guys, so this video here is so important. I actually want to have a video and a recording and actually just map this out for you guys. So we're going to be talking about focus today. Okay, focus is simply the ability to be able to do a task for a prolonged period of time until it is done. Okay, and I'm talking about like deep focus, not what we have today where you do something, maybe you get distracted for 15 minutes and you get back to it, and then you do other things and you come back. No, deep focus is going to be the one of the determining factors of your success. Okay, in business, right, the people and the person who succeeds the most or has the most success over a long period of time is the one that's really just spent the most time focused on the task at hand. That's really what it's gonna come down to. Let me give you an example. Okay, if you spend 8 hours, and just to preface that, right, the things I want to talk about are a little bit contradictory to what you hear that most people talk about. Okay, they're gonna be they're gonna contradict a lot of the things that you've heard about focus and about getting deep work done. It's not about working 18 hours a day, okay, or even working 12 hours a day. That's not what focus is. Okay, if you work 10 hours a day and you really, because people who say that they work 18 or 12 hours a day, how much actual focused work are they putting in? That's a real question you want to be asking yourself. How much dedicated focus are you doing? Because when I say focus, really all you need to actually hit this and be successful is anywhere from like maybe 4 to maybe 6 hours a day of focused work. For something like this, let's say you're doing Airbnb, you're doing it with a full-time job, as most of you will be, 1 to 3 hours a day of focused, undistracted work is all you need. That's what focus really is. In a world where people spend 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, and they say they're doing focused work, our bodies genuinely cannot do focused work for 18 hours a day or 12 hours a day. It's possible. It's maybe just 1 hour of focused work and then 3 or 4 hours of just pure nothingness, and then maybe 30 minutes of focused work and then 3 hours of just pure nothingness. This is not an efficient or an effective strategy for success. Okay, what you want to do is spend 40, maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes of focused work, take a 20-minute break. When I say 20-minute break, go for a walk, drink some water. Don't fill your head with nonsense. That's not what you want to do. Okay, 20 minutes, even an hour of focused work, rest a little bit, and then get back to it. You will find yourself doing so much more work. You will find yourself doing not only so much more work, so much better quality, because in this focused time frame, you're going deep into the work itself. Focus means going deep. All right, focus is not spending 10 hours of shallow work. No, it means going deep for 1 to 3 hours, and we're just not focusing on anything else except the task at hand, because that's when your brain actually performs better. Okay, our brains are actually not good at multitasking. So if you actually want to get things done, focus on one thing at a time and see it through. I have found the best success myself in my business, and the reason we're able to scale so quickly is because when I was looking at it, at every single step, I put in 100% effort at every single step. What people do is they do all the steps at the same time and they put 10%, 10%, 10% on everything, and it just becomes a jumbled, tangled mess. That's not what you want. You want to put 100% at every single effort. So when I was looking for a house, I put 100% effort into looking for a house. I didn't do other things Block off some time every day, an hour, even if it's just an hour, where you have no distractions. Like not even checking any emails, don't even take a phone call, don't even leave your seat for an hour and really just do some focused work. I am telling you right now, your results will be exponentially greater. Okay, this is extremely important. Extremely important. Okay, so when you're going through this, and even just in life as well, redefine what focus is. Okay, don't join the people that say they work 18 hours days. Don't join them. Don't join them, because even when you look at millionaires and billionaires, they're not working 18 hours a day. Why are you working 18 hours a day? They have found a way to systemize their focus. And how do you do that? By doing deep and focused work. That's it. Focus on deep and focused work, and that's all you'll need. Even if it's an hour a day, 3 hours a day, you can get more done in 2 to 3 hours than most people get in 8 hours if you just focus on deep work. That is it. I'm not asking you to come here and spend 10 hours a day. No. I'm asking you to come here and spend dedicated hour. Even if it's dedicated 30 minutes every single day, 7 days a week, you'll get so much further ahead. Okay, but that's just the baseline. That's just the baseline. Okay, because if you can't even spend an hour of focused work every single day, an hour of focused work, you're not going to get very far in business. You're really not. Okay, focused. Let's move on. Hello, friends. Hope you guys are doing good today. So what I want to do is I kind of want to go over starting up an LLC or opening up your own LLC. So, and I have a website that here that I want to show you guys. This is going to be important. I would recommend doing this from the beginning. If you already know you're going to be locked in, you already know that this is something you're all in on. I would recommend starting off with an LLC. It's going to look better, and you want to use this and separate your personal from your business income. Okay, there's different ways you can go about it. There's different websites you can do. If you're in Canada, you can go to a registry. There's different websites. But one website that I found works very well is Owner. Owner is not as expensive, so you can either go to like the registry websites or even go to lawyers. Lawyers are going to be the most expensive option for you. And for me, because I'm cheap, I spend money where we need to spend money. But then things like this, like if there are ways you can get it cheaper for this exact same quality, do it. I would recommend Owner. I've used it a few times myself for different businesses, and it's really cool to get started. So all you got to do is you press get started. You go to like pricing. So they have existing business you can transfer over, or you can do a new business. So I do a new business. It's about 599 Canadian, which is about 300-400 bucks American, right? And it just gives you everything. It gives you everything that you need, right? And the really cool thing is once you open up an account, if you are in Canada, you get $300 back, right? I'm pretty sure they have bonuses for Americans as well, so do check that out. But that's a really cool thing I like about Owner. It's quick, it's efficient, it's effective. It gives you everything that you need to be able to build that. And if you want to start doing like government filings or legal agreements later on, you can do that when you start making money from your business, of course, right? But for right now, to get started, Owner will probably be your best bet. The three short-term rental strategies. There's three core strategies when it comes to building your short-term rental business that I'm going to go through, and every strategy is going to have its pros and cons. I'm quickly going to write this out here. So you have co-hosting. Ignore that. Then you have arbitrage, and then you have ownership. Ownership, real estate investing. Okay, so depending on where you are, you're gonna fall into one of these three categories. What I find, and this is a weird one, to be honest with you, because you can start this when you have nothing, and you have absolutely like, I don't want to say nothing. Like you have a little bit of cash, and you want to test it out. You don't want to put a significant investment, and you want to take a little bit of risk. You can start with co-hosting by going to others and helping them either manage their properties, or going to landlord who already have furniture and say, hey, you cover the rent. I just take a small percentage of it, 10, 15, 20%, depending on what you can negotiate. And you can put the property up on Airbnb and then make a couple $100 a month. So the thing about co-hosting, which I'm going to talk about quickly, My favorite is, of course, arbitrage, which we'll talk about. And then you have ownership, okay? Which is, like, on paper, it's one of the best strategies on paper if you're looking at long-term Airbnb investments. For the purpose truly of what we're doing here, it's mostly going to be talking about arbitrage or potentially even co-hosting. So with co-hosting, like I said, you can start with little to no money down. You can find landlords, find operators who just need a little bit more of a boost, and you can offer them that, hey, I'll take a 10%, and I'll show you that we can do a 2-3 month trial, and I'll show you that I can increase your revenue by 10, 15, 20, 30% because of I know how to operate on an Airbnb business. The thing about co-hosting is your margins do tend to be a little bit smaller because you're not fronting anything. So you're going to take a smaller cut, but hey, you're still making some money. You can get that proof of concept. Okay, so that's the beginning aspect of it, and that I'm going to come back to it because then you have arbitrage, and arbitrage is my favorite because what you're doing is you're finding hosts or finding properties that have nothing on it but have very high profit and revenue potential. You're fronting the money, you're putting the money down to be able to buy the furniture, redesign the place, make the place look absolutely amazing. You pay rent and utilities, which could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000, but then you do the right proper research and the right market research, you can find a house making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. Like, those numbers are very, very possible. If you start with an apartment, the apartment could be $1,000 a month. For the rent, utilities could be an extra $200-$300 a month, but that apartment could be making you $3,000, $4,000, maybe on high season even $5,000 a month, and you just keep the money in between. And they can take that money and invest in other properties. And then you have the ownership model. The reason the ownership model works, and if you have the cash for this, it's honestly one of the best strategies, is because you own it, so you get the capital appreciation, and capital appreciation simply means as time goes on, historically speaking, real estate tends to be valued more. So if you own it, it's just going to be worth more over time, and you're not really doing anything, right? So you have that. You have the debt pay down. So because you're making Airbnb money more than rental money, you can actually take that revenue, let's say making 1.5 times the rent or 2 times the rent. You can take that money and you can actually pay that house out faster. Okay, so ownership, pay down. And then you also can have refinancing, which every couple of years, refi. My writing is terrible, please forgive me. Every couple of years, you can go to the bank, take the equity out, take that cash, put in another Airbnb investment, and then continue that process without actually getting any money out of pocket. So these are the 3 options, okay? I like arbitrage the best, to be honest with you. I'm gonna put a crown here. It's a terrible crown, but I like arbitrage the best because it makes it a lot easier when you don't have a significant amount of money, but you do have a little bit of savings that you can put towards your first business venture. The thing about arbitrage that truly makes it very different than ownership, and in my opinion, for the stage that I was, it was significantly better than ownership, is this right here is the ultimate cash flow play. Ultimate cash flow play. Because let me give you these 2 examples. We'll leave co-hosting out of the way right now, but we'll put these 2 examples. Let's say I get a property and I furnish it for, let's just say $30,000, and my rent is, let's just say $3,000. Let's just say, just to keep it simple, right? And the exact same scenario, but now I'm purchasing a property, and I'm like, the furniture is $30,000. So this other property, I'm separated. Hope you can see. Let me just move this out of the way. I'll go here. So the first property is $30,000 to furnish, and you're putting $3,000 a month. Okay. The second property is also, so P1, and then you have P2. The second property is also $30,000 to furnish. Your mortgage might be $2,700. Let's just say $2,500. But you have to, let's just say this property is worth $500,000. Let's just say, right? Or $400,000. Let's say you have to put another like $50,000 down to buy this property. Just quick back of the napkin math that we're doing here. So now you're all in for $80,000. Your mortgage is $2,500. We're here you're in for $30,000, your rent is $3,000. And let's just say this house makes, let's just say $10,000 a month. Let's just say. You now turn $30,000 into $10,000 a month. This took you in 3 months, removing all profits. You've made your investment back. 3, 4, 5 months, you made your investment back. Whereas here, it's going to take significantly longer, right? Because you're now in for about $80,000, and this is probably not even including like closing costs and other factors. So by the time you reach, let's just say you don't even want to recoup your money, but you're getting significant profits from this, that $10,000 a month, within 2, even 3 months, you can just do this again and get another property. Whereas if you have this, you'd have to now try to buy a second property, which takes months. Another thing is time as well. Time is a big aspect of this. Time is a very big aspect of this, because with property purchasing, you have to like closing costs, finding a property, negotiating with the seller. Like that could be a 2, 3, sometimes even a 4-month process. Once you get very good with arbitrage, you can do this like 2 times a month. You can do this 4 times a month. You can do this 5 times a month. You can do this as many times as possible. This is very, very scalable, because all of this is having the systems in place to be able to have, you can even have people call the landlords for you, close deals. And because you're making $10,000 a month, and let's just say after everything you have $5,000 a month, right? After everything. So your first month might be the longest, and let's just say it takes you 4 months, 5 months, and then you have another $25,000, or 6 months, you have an extra $30,000. Then you can do that again, but now you have 2 houses profiting $5,000. So now in half the time, you can do it again and again and again and again. And this is how my Airbnb business and just Airbnb business through arbitrage is so scalable, because the first one probably takes the longest to be able to build that, and it's simply just getting that cash flow to get another one, another one, another one. But once you have that flywheel of consistent cash flow coming in, you can pick up significantly more properties quicker, or you can just start getting bigger ones by putting $50,000 to about $70,000 down and getting properties that make you $100,000 a year, which is the model that I ascribe to, and that's what's able to help me scale. Because then you put $50,000 to $60,000 down, you're making $100,000 a year, almost passively at this point. With 10 properties, you're making $1 million a year, and that is very, very, very possible, because that's what I've been able to achieve. And it's the secret arbitrage method that the owners, the real estate ownership really prescribes, but they don't talk about it because arbitrage tends to be a little bit different. But when I said it's the ultimate cash flow play, it is the ultimate cash flow play, because to get a property that's making you $100,000 a year, you're probably spending $100,000 in cash to be able to finance it. Like you're probably doing that, then you're probably spending $50,000, $60,000 to remodel it. Whereas with arbitrage, you can do that, and then you can do it again and again and again and again. So that's why I like the arbitrage method the best. Another really cool thing, and now we can go back to co-hosting. Stay with me. This, I hope you can understand. This is a very, very important training, but this is what's going to make you stand out and really understand the business at a very deep, at a very, very deep level. So I'm going to erase this because it's just not just getting out of hand. What the heck is going on here? But I'm going to write this again. So you have co-hosting, arbitrage, I beefed, and then ownership. Now that you're able to get very good at arbitrage, what you start finding is that landlords, all they want to do, they just want to buy more houses, because that's what landlords want to do. They want to buy a house. They want to have the capital appreciation like these owners do, but they don't want to think about it. That's why they have it on rent. So if you can come and solve that problem with arbitrage, these owners will now want to buy more houses, but guess what? Now they want to work directly with you. Now they only want to come to you because they don't want to have 30 houses and 30 different tenants. They'd rather have 30 houses and one tenant, you. So you can come in and position yourself as the authority and talk, and they'll probably come to you. I've seen this happen quite significantly, but you can come to them and say, hey, I've been operating your property for a year or two now. If you want to buy more properties, I'd be more than happy to handle it and then manage it. So now you're essentially becoming a property manager, but you're making 10 times the revenue that any property manager would make, like significantly more. Because what you can do now is you can tell your owners You can tell them what house they should purchase for you to co-host. Apologies. And if you want to take it one step further, that's 1, 2, you can get them to furnish it. Now, stay with me. Once you've done arbitrage for a year or 2 years, your properties are making good money, and you've given yourself the proof of concept that this is something that's possible. And you now know how to find Airbnbs, you know that this process works significantly for you. There's no reason why you can't now start looking for, no reason why you can't start doing this. No reason. And this could be a $700,000-$800,000 home, right? But because these owners tend to have these landlords tend to have a lot of properties, and they can just roll things up, and they have their ways. They might not even be opposed to that if you can tell them that you get this property and I will lease this house out for the next 7 to 10 years. I'll lease it out. Barring, of course, no significant laws happen. That's why this is usually better in a very, very developed market. But worst case scenario, you can tell the owner. Worst case scenario, you can just rent it out and you can keep the furniture. It's yours anyways. Rent it out for significantly more. And for them, it's a write-off anyways. There's so many benefits to this. But now you can have them get a property for $100,000 a year. You take 20% of the gross revenue. Every single month. And how much money did you put down for this? The magic number. That's the magic number. So I don't make this video too long, and I know this is quite a bit of information, but I did tell you that I want to make you a pro with Airbnb, and hopefully this is starting to sink in on why this is so powerful. So you have the co-hosting, which you could do as a beginner, but there's also like very high level co-hosting, which isn't really talked about a lot because of how truly powerful it is. You have the arbitrage, which is my favorite method, which can lead to then the really high level co-hosting method. And then you have the ownership method. So these are the 3 short-term rental methods with Airbnb that you can do to significantly build your business. But hopefully now you have a deeper understanding before we start moving forward. So there are 2 pesky little costs that you want to be aware of in your Airbnb business as you look to scale, as you look to get your first one and scale your business. These 2 costs, if left unchecked, will be a very big factor in determining if you're going to succeed at scale. Most businesses in Airbnb that don't succeed is because they genuinely overlooked these 2 costs. And I really want to cover this in the front end. That way you know what to expect, and you can really you can adjust accordingly so that you're ahead of this instead of being behind this later on. This is something that caught me off guard when I first started my Airbnb business. Luckily, the properties that I was looking at had enough profit margin to cover this, but this is something that is extremely important. So we're going to talk about it today. So the 2 biggest costs will be this is predominantly for arbitrage, but it also applies if you're mortgaging your house. It will be your rent / mortgage, and 2 will be your cleaning cost. So these 2 costs here are by far these 2 are going to be the biggest costs in your business by far. These 2 costs could either be 20% or 30% of your just overall revenue, or even as high as 70 or 80% of your overall revenue if left unchecked. So let's actually talk about it. It's going to be extremely important as you run your business to ensure that these never go higher than a certain point ever. And a good percentage for this, for your mortgage, a good percentage is anywhere from 30 to 50. And 50 is
a bit of a stretch. You really do not want to start crossing 50 unless you know that your cleaning cost is going to be significantly lower. But this is where you want to be. This is what I want to call, this is what I'm going to call the safety zone, right? So that you know that regardless of how big the swings get in high season or low season, that the lower this is, the more room you have to breathe during those low seasons, because most market in Airbnb or just in the hospitality industry with hotels have the exact same business model. It's the swings from high season to low season in most markets. So you want to give yourself that safety zone, that buffer when you're looking at your cost for your rent and your mortgage. And that's for your cleaning costs. You don't want to go above 20%. 20%. I think 10 to 15% is ideal, depending if you can find it, because you want to find a good quality cleaner that's going to clean consistently. It's not going to charge you way too much, but at the same time, actually takes care of the home and loves what she does, so she can give you a good clean, so you get 5-star reviews. And usually those type of cleaners will charge you a little bit more, but you don't want to really cross above that 20% threshold. So another thing I'm going to do here is, like, I know 50% is safety zone, but the closer you get to 30%, the better. Ideally, you want to be at like 30 to 40%. That's ideal. 50% could work. 50% could work if your market isn't as volatile. So if it's not too volatile and you know that throughout the entire year it tends to remain pretty steady, then you can play around with this. But if you have very big swings, then that 50% might hurt you. So that's just something to take into consideration. You will know more as you learn more and as you start looking at different markets. You'll have an understanding. But this is just this is simply a general metric to look at. And I'll make this right when I have some fun with that. Okay. And just so you know what this would look like. So now let's say we're looking at a property that's going to make us very simple, $100,000 a year. So what you're looking at is $8,000 a month. Okay. You have your rent. Let's just say it's 50. Let's just say it's 50%. So it says 4,000. I'm actually going to start moving things around. I'll make this a little bit smaller. Safety. So let's say rent is 4,000 and cleaning cost 20%. What is that? $1,600 a month. $1,600 a month. And then now you have the other cost, which will just be utilities. Utilities, let's just say it shouldn't cross 10%. It will not. In most scenarios, it will not cross 10%. That's going to be a problem. But let's just say your cleaning cost. So now let's say your cleaning cost is, let's just say, around that 7% mark. That 7% mark will bring it to just over 500 to 550, I believe. So I think it's about 550, 560. It'll be right about that 560 range. So now you're just around that 20% profit margin territory. And these are worst case scenario numbers. These are just your fallback numbers to hit that 20% profit margin. Okay. So you can hit this. So you can hit this profit margin and you'll be okay. But what we're going to be looking for, especially if you're trying to get that $8,000 a month average, what we're going to be looking for is those needle in a haystack properties, which takes a little bit more time to find, of course. But we want to be, like I said, at 30%, maximum 20%, even if you can find something at that 15%, because then this can quickly jump to 40% profit margins very quickly if you find the right property at that 30% rent or mortgage, which they are out there. But these are just to give you a quick breakdown. So here I'll put utilities as well. And then any cost above this, you're probably just looking at your software and tech costs, which tend to be quite inexpensive. But the really cool thing about that is that they get marginally cheaper as you scale and as you get more houses. So for your first one, maybe like $200 a month, but as you get another one, it might also stay $200 a month or increase by like 25 or $30 a month. So it's marginally cheaper because you can split that amongst two houses. And then by the time you have 10, your software costs will basically be insignificant. But hopefully this gives you an idea and a better understanding of really just where you want to be when you're doing and running your numbers. So yes, 30 to 50%, 50% on the high end. Try to aim for that 40, 30%, which you can find. But now that you have this understanding, if you look at a property and you know it's going to make $8,000, but the rent is like $5,000 or $6,000, now you know, okay, no, that's already a number that's going to be way too high. So it doesn't even make sense to look into this further because I know that this is extremely, extremely high. So hopefully this gives you a better understanding of just how to understand. Now this should give you a better understanding of really just how the backend infrastructure should work in terms of the math and in terms of the numbers. But you could very easily get to that 40% with this understanding. And the reason this is so important because this is actually what happened to me, which would have significantly like messed me up. Luckily enough, this brought me $10,000 a month instead of $8,000. So I was able to collect that percentage there because I was able to just make more money from the house, which covered it. But if I wasn't good enough to actually collect that revenue, I would have been in a very different position. So this is what you want to start understanding. The really cool thing about this is that this stays relatively the same as you can see. This just depends on how many bookings that you get, but this still gets capped. This remains relatively the same regardless of what time of the year, right? But this could change drastically, especially like drastically up. There's a lot more upside potential than there is downside potential with Airbnb. So this can change, and this could even be 1 month, it could even be 16,000, which I've seen happen a lot of times, but your costs still remain the same. And then what we're gonna go over is tips and tricks on how during the high season, you can try to even get this up to 20,000. And let's say we aim for 20,000, we'll land at 17, 18. Those are still very, very good numbers. It all needs to just comes from having the understanding, which we'll go over. But now, if you get to $20,000 a month, this still remains relatively the same. This might increase a little bit because you're getting, which is your cleaning cost, because you'll probably be getting a lot more turnovers. Relatively speaking, these remain the same, but the swings on this can be significantly higher as long as you just cover the low end. So you'd never want to go under, like, let's just say 7,000. You never want to go under 7,000. And in the months they do go under 7,000, as it is a business and things do happen. Because you've been able to collect so much on this front end during high season, you now should be able to have a buffer. Okay, so as you start collecting these
high season revenue, don't go on a shopping spree, okay? Especially if it's your first or second year. Have a reserve fund prepared just in case low season is a little bit lower. And as you start growing that reserve fund, then you can actually start playing around with it a little bit more. But do have a reserve as you start collecting a lot from these high seasons. That way you have a buffer during the low seasons.
Okay, so it should take you a little bit more than 30 days, just around that 30-day range to actually get everything up and going from when you get to the market research to actually like making money. Should be about anywhere from 30 days, right? When you're beginning, it might take a little bit longer. It is a process that you don't want to rush because this is going to be the process that's actually going to be making you money. So you don't want to rush anything, right? So in the first 30 days, that's how long it should take you, okay? Give or take, all right? So the first 7 days is going to be basically just market research. So seeing which city you want to invest in, right? Looking at the different regulations, seeing which city is profitable, which city is not going to be profitable, which house types you want to enter. So one city could have the best profitability in a 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, while another city might have the best profitability in a 1 or 2 or 3 bedroom. It's really going to be up to you to really decide where you want to go, and that's where the market research comes into play. So I'd say about 1 to 7 days. 1 to 7 days is a good range, but that's like spending hours every single day. So it might take you longer. Like I said, don't rush it. But once you're effective, it should take you 1 to 7 days. Once you do this market research, especially for one market, you never have to do it again. So you want to make sure that first 1 to 7 days is really just pounded with lots of information. You're getting as much information as possible regarding the city, the profitability, the regulations in that city, really just understanding that market. Okay, and that's the 1 to 7 days. Okay, then once you have the second, third, fourth property, this should be cut down to 1 or 2 days of doing market research. But that's what it's going to take in the first, especially when you're in the first go around, especially in a new city. Okay, then the next part is going to be just calling different markets, different homes, different landlords. Okay, so I would have a list of 20, 30, maybe sometimes even 40 properties of places that I want to call, and we'll talk about the script after that. But you want to have that list of people and of homes and of different markets to call, and you're going to be spending just days just calling, right? You're going to get a few practice runs, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. You're going to have a script, but you want to make sure that you're just calling for these days, okay? And then after that, now it's just buying the furniture. Once you have a property locked in and you sign the contract, now it's a race to profitability. So now you want to move as quickly and effectively as possible. So now you lock in. This is actually when you lock in because now time is money. So what you're going to be doing now, you're going to be buying the furniture. You can't rush this process because furniture is going to take time. You're going to order, it might take a week, it might take 2 weeks. Some furniture might take 3 weeks. Some might even take a month. We're not going to look at the things that take a month. You're probably looking at a couple of days, week to 2 max. But you really can't rush this process. That's why as soon as you have the lease or you have a place locked in, this is going to be the next part, and it has to be quick. Okay? After that is really just putting everything together. That also is going to take time depending on the size of property that you get. So if you get like a 1-2 bedroom, it might take like 2-3 days, 4 days for a 1-2-3 bedroom. But if you're getting a bigger property, like if you're aiming for the 6-figure properties, you're looking at sometimes going to be a week to get those up and running. Okay, it's really going to be up to you at this point. And if you have it depends on if you have a team doing it, if you're going to be doing it yourself, if you have assistants. The more help you get, the faster it will be set up. Okay, so that's for the assembly part of it. After it's assembled, now you actually have the staging. So staging it for an Airbnb for the pictures. We're going to talk about photos in a little bit here, but photos are actually going to be extremely important. So it's really just staging your property for the pictures, okay? And then you're going to do a deep clean. After you're going to do a deep clean, get all the box out there, make sure that place is in immaculate condition. And then after that, you have the photos. It should be between here. So you have the photos in between there. The photos, you're going to get a professional Airbnb photographer, right? Or just a professional photographer in general. It takes about 24 to 48 hours for them to edit and to do all the things in the pictures to make it the best picture quality possible, because that's going to be the bread and butter of your business. The picture is going to be what attracts people. So I want to make sure that that's going to be done effectively as well. Then all you have is listing the property. Okay, so you're going to list the property, do all the settings, all the back-end settings for the property to make sure it's up and running. That should take you a couple of hours, okay? And then after that, now you're making money. Now we're in the money business, okay? So usually when you're first starting out, it might take you a month or 2 to get it set up, right? Especially if you're getting or entering a new market. After that, after you have that system in place, and after you've gone a couple of properties, they should take you no more than a month to complete. From the beginning to the end, it should take you no more than a month to complete. So that's your time frame, just so you have an idea of what to be looking at.
Before all of this, of course, it's really just going through everything, understanding it, and really just understanding what the step-by-step process is and having in-depth knowledge about all of it. But then you apply. And when you're applying it, you got to move quickly. Because now that you have the information, now it's just about putting it and turning all of this into money. Okay? So welcome to the new module on market research. The reason some people don't succeed with Airbnb is because they don't have the confidence in themselves to take that step. And what that really comes down to is uncertainty and just lack of confidence. A big part of that is going to be the market research. And that's why I want to explain market research as in depth and precisely as possible for you. That way you just remove a lot of the guesswork. Like this process is going to remove so much of the guesswork, and we're going to be able to really pinpoint what kind of properties we want and know with a high degree of likelihood and certainty that it is going to be profitable. Okay? So the way you want to structure market research is going to be a step-by-step process. And there are four main tools that you're going to need to be able to really perfect this. And you need to be able to have access to all four of these. Okay, some are going to be free, some are going to be paid, but you need access to all four of these because these four, without them, the likelihood of you succeeding is going to be significantly lower. And you've already gone this far. Trust me, these four are going to be a very, very big lever that you can use to truly succeed. Okay. Number one is going to be Airbnb, the Airbnb platform itself, free, easy. Okay. And you're going to be able to really understand and engage your market research, top end market research, understanding competition in the area from the Airbnb platform. Then what you're also going to need is, for right now, what you're also going to need is going to be AirDNA. AirDNA is a market research tools that will give you more insight than Airbnb on the revenue potential of a market and and you really just another broad end market level research tool that can give you the address, the potential projected revenue of the specific place that you're looking at, and really just other comparables in the area. Then you're going to use Zillow or Rent Faster to be able to find other houses for you to rent. And one of the most important tools that you're going to need is going to be Magic BNB. The reason Magic BNB is going to be extremely important is because where all these other platforms are good at, what they fail at doing is telling you exactly how profitable a property will be. And I saw that was a very, very big sticking point for a lot of people. They were able to do the market research. Let's say for you, you're able to do the market research. You're able to find out the revenue of the property, the gross revenue, but now you don't know how profitable it's truly going to be. And Magic BNB comes in and solves 99% of that guesswork because it now breaks down every single projected cost that you need to expect. And then you'll be able to now know what your profit is going to be, how much you actually keep in your pocket at the end of the month, every single month. So I'm going to break down these tools significantly further down as well, but it is going to be important for you to have. So Airbnb, you need to make an account for Airbnb. So you're gonna need an Airbnb account. You should have a host account because you should have a host account because you can get more information for what we're gonna be doing. You're gonna be getting an invite link to host by myself, so you can actually get a bonus AirDNA account. And AirDNA is a non-negotiable as well because it is gonna be able to give you the projected revenue for that listing and also look at comparables in the area. And you are going to need Magic BNB to be able to break down that revenue into what its profit is going to be. And then Rent Faster or Zillow, which is going to be free. So these are going to be the four tools that you're going to need to be able to really succeed when it comes to market research. Another thing that you want to truly understand when it comes to market research is the regulations in your market. So what is going on in your market? What is the cap on Airbnbs in your market? Is there any regulations? Are there regulations coming down the pipe? You want to truly understand what the local government in your area thinks about short-term rentals. Are they short-term rental friendly? Are they short-term rental against and they don't want it, or they're adding more and more regulations every year? You truly want to understand before you really go into the market, just so you have an idea. Because Airbnb, especially through Arbitrage, you want to make sure that you can have a place for 3 to 5 years so you can really start seeing the benefits and the profits from your property. So understanding the market regulations will be a significant factor before you truly commit to anything. So please make sure you go. And all you got to do is you can even use Magic BNB to go on the Magic BNB website and just look at the regulations for that specific city. We have blog posts of every single city where there are going to be the regulations. We have blog posts of the regulations of every major city in the country. So please go take a look at Magic BNB / whichever country or whichever city that you want to know the regulations, and you'll be able to get a full breakdown of what that's going to look like. Okay, so it's a little bit of glare. So this is going to be capture rate and or retention rate. Okay, so capture rate / retention. So like I said before, this is essentially how many listings in the market actually get soaked up by demand. So whether there's 10,000 listings, whether there's 1,000 listings, that's honestly not going to matter. What matters is at the end of the day, how many of these listings are actually get taken up, how many of them actually get occupied. So let me give you an example. So let's say you have two different markets, two different listings. You have city A. Wow, I already butchered this word city. Excuse me. City A and then city B. Don't mind my writing. It's atrocious, I know. Okay. City A has 10,000 listings plus. City B has, let's just say 1,000 listings. Let's keep it simple. Okay. So these are your two options. So most people would say, oh, let's go to City A is a way more developed market. People are probably making a lot more money there. Let's go there. And some people would be like, City B is a little bit too small for me. Or it's too small, might not be able to make money. The market's probably not big. That's where most people get it wrong. Let me tell you why. So now what you want to do when you look at retention, you want to look at, okay, now that you see this place here, the City A, in the next, let's just say 2 weeks, I want to write this and then erase it. In the next 2 weeks, out of those 10,000, how many are available? So what you want to do is, first of all, so let's say today's Tuesday. Check for this weekend. So a couple of days out, how many of them are available in the first? Let's just do first week. So 1 week. 1 week from today. How many of those units are available? Okay. So if this here is that 10,000, and in 1 week you have, let's just say 40,000. Sorry, not 40,000. My goodness. You have, let's say 4,000 are still available. So at the end of the week, out of those 10,000, 6,000 are booked, 4,000 are available. Okay? And then you have City B. And at the end of the week, you only have, let's just say, 100 houses available. Okay? Which one has a better capture or retention rate? Let's do the math. So there's going to be 4,000, which is available out of the 10,000 they have. So what's the percentage of that? So that's 40% remaining. So the retention rate, the capture rate is 60%. So 60%, okay? So out of that 10,000, 4,000 are available. So what does that give you? That gives you 60% retention or 40% remaining. So 40% aren't retained, 60% is what is captured. Okay, so at the end of the first week, you have about 60% of the houses that are captured, 40% are remaining. Okay, now in this place, what do you have? This, you have 10% that are remaining. Okay, that means the capture rate, I don't know if you guys see this, is 90%. 90% of the houses in the first week are going to be booked. So at the end of the week, out of those 1,000 houses, 900 are gone. There's 100 remaining. Out of this one, this is 10,000. At the end of the week, 6,000 are gone, 4,000 are remaining. Which one do you think is going to be the better market? Let me answer that for you. This one's going to be 10 times better. This place here, that's in a week, which means that in the next maybe 2, even 3 days out, this might even go down to 10 or 20 properties. That means there's not enough supply in this market. This one has way too much supply. There's 10,000. There's way too many things happening over here. You could go, but now your risk being one of the 4,000 that's still going to be available. Whereas here you have a very high likelihood of getting booked out. This is capture rate and retention rate. Okay, this will give you a way better idea of which market instead of just based off of AirDNA or based off of how many listings are in the city. This will give you a place because now let's say this has 10,000. Let me give you another example. So now let's say this had 10,000, right? 10,000. But at the end of that week, there is 25 houses remaining. Let's just say 25 houses. That's 99.75. So that's about 99% capture rate. You know what that means? Get as many properties here as you possibly can because they're most likely all going to get booked. What is a health? Okay. So the higher the retention rate, the more those houses get soaked up, the more houses are going to be needed to essentially cover the demand. So what does that tell you? So what is a good capture rate? So now the next inevitable question is, what is a good capture rate? So a decent capture rate that you want, of course, the higher, the better, of course. But where it's going to be the healthiest, you have to look at anywhere from 70 to 90% capture rate. So 70 to 90% capture rate is a good percentage. Anything lower than that gets a little bit tricky. Okay? Now that you have capture rate, let's get a little bit even more specific. Because this is the capture rate and retention rate of the entire market. But now what you want to do, and I'm going to talk about some pretty high level stuff, so take notes. Now you want to look at the capture rate depending on the listing type. And that's going to be important because you can have a 90% capture rate, but the ones that are getting captured are only 2 to 3 bedrooms. And the 4 to 5 bedrooms have a 40% capture rate. That means in this specific market, you only want to look at 2 to 3 bedrooms. And how do you do that? Simple filter search. Do a simple filter search on Airbnb and do the exact same thing. Look at a week out, 2 to 3 bedrooms, see what the capture rate is. Look at a week out, look at 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. Look at what the capture rate is because that's going to tell you where the biggest gap in this market is going to be. Because just because it's 90% doesn't mean any house that you get or any listing that you get is also going to be that 90%. Look at the outlier where this 90% is coming from. So that's going to depend on the listing. What I have found is in bigger listings, you have higher capture rates in bigger listings because there isn't as many of them. Okay, so look at those bigger listings, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 bedroom. Look at those listings, see what the capture rate is. If it's anything higher than 80%, yes. So this is how you look at capture rate. You do this first, and then you can start going into deeper market research. But this is going to give you a clear idea. I know it's kind of a bit that we went through, but this information right here is how you solidify your profits and your revenue when you get started. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. This right here is what's going to make you the most amount of money because this is going to really solidify it. This is the proof that you need that you're going to be in the right market. Okay, so that's your capture rate, and that's how you start your market research. All right, guys. So one thing I'll let you guys know is the amount of properties in a city doesn't matter. It could have 100, it could have 10,000, it could have 100,000, doesn't matter. What matters is how much of those are actually getting booked. That's if you have either the capture percentage or the retention percentage. The retention percentage is basically how much of that market is retained in a given time period. Okay, so let's say you have a place that has 500 houses, 500 Airbnb listings. You're like, oh well, it's a pretty untapped market. Yes, but if by the end out of those 500, let's say, and out of those, let's just say those 500 are one specific kind of house, like 5-bedroom apartments or 6-bedroom houses or so. Let's say out of those, this weekend, like this coming weekend, like in like 5-6 days, out of those 500, let's say 400 are still available. That means that's not a big retention rate. No one's booking those places. There's still so many places available. Whereas if you had another market that had 10,000 houses with or 10,000 houses available, but next week there's only like 250 houses available, that's like a 90 something percent booking retention rate, capture rate, right? So what you're looking for is not how many houses there are in a city or in a market, it's how many of them are actually being soaked in by demand. Okay, what you want to get a house in a market that has anywhere from, I want to say like, it has to be in the 90s, 80 to 90% retention rate. Because that means, and the higher, the better. The higher, it means that no matter what house you put up, people will soak it in because the market just needs it. It just needs these houses. If you find a place that has like 95 occupancy, just go all in. You will want to go all in because what that means is that when you put your place up, if every other place is getting booked, yours is also going to get booked as well. Okay? So to give you an example here, what we have, so let me just give you an example. So what I would want to do here is I'd go to filters, right? And really just filter down and see exactly which sub niche. Because now you can get into the specifics, right? So you could have a high capture rate for bigger properties, like 4, 5, 6 bedroom properties. And you're like, okay, well, this is fantastic. And then when you look at the 1, 2, 3 bedroom properties, they could have a horrible capture rate. What that means for you would be to just, now you know, okay, the capture percentage or retention percentage is a lot higher for higher end properties. So you can go that route. Or if your market allows for a higher capture rate in the smaller properties, right? And the bigger properties, it might be like 50 to 200 properties there, but no one's really booking them because it's usually just 1 or 2 people staying in your city or in your market. Now you know exactly which way to go within your market. So now you're not looking at only the overall capture percentage of the market. You're looking at the overall capture percentage of your subgroup. And that's when you can get really fun and creative with this. So let me give you an example here on my screen. So let's do 7 bedrooms. Let's just go crazy. You know, A plus bedrooms. And then 4 beds or so. Let me 4 or 5. Oh, the same. So let's do, no, they can't be 2. Let's see, 4 or 5, minimum 4. Right, and then bathrooms, will leave that. Now already, so went from over 1,000 places with our filter to only 100. Okay, and that's any week from June to November. Okay, now what we want to do is see out of all of these, how many of them are available. Out of these, how many of them are available next week? Let's go. Not next week. Yeah, let's go next week. 35, 36, 36. So what is that? 50%. 60% is booked, 70%. So that's about 7% capture rate for next week. Right? And that's the entire week. That's not too bad, but these are the ones that are left over now. Now you have the information of the properties that are left over, and you might even be able to see like why they aren't left over. This one has a 4.0 rating. That's a very good reason right here, right? So now you can start seeing the properties that aren't being booked. It's not to say they're not going to get booked because you still have some time. This is for June 3rd or 7th. Right now we're in May, May 27th. So we still have some time, but the likelihood of these getting booked is actually quite low. It's actually quite low. Okay, so I might not recommend getting a bigger property here unless you can see a gap, okay, which we talked about and we'll continue to talk about finding the gap there. Let's see end of this month. How many of them are available end of this month? Out of 85, 31 properties available end of this month, right? So you're still getting a pretty decent capture rate, and the ones that are left over are simply not good. Not good at all. So out of the 108, 31 left over. But these 31 that are left over don't seem like good properties at all. They don't seem like decent properties. Like ones that deserve to be booked up. I'm just being completely honest. I don't even look at this one to be honest. Oh, this is not bad actually. But this one's a brand new listing. Like brand new listing. So that would make sense. That's why it hasn't gotten booked yet. So that's what retention percentage is. That's what capture rate is. Really just seeing how much of the market is actually soaked up by the demand. Okay, so don't look at how many properties. That's going to deceive you. Okay, look at how many of those properties that you see within that niche are actually soaked in. So what I can do quickly, give another example. I can do this. I'll go to filter, and I'll go to 2 bedrooms. I need over 1,000 places with 2 bedrooms. Over 1,000 places with 2 bedrooms. Now, no, let me see, flexible. Okay, a lot of places with 2 bedrooms, okay. 2 beds, entire home. I'm gonna add a guest count of like 2 people. Let's do 4 people, 2 bedrooms. It's over 1,000 places available. Now out of all of these, and you have bigger houses included in here, how many of them are available next week? This coming week. You still have quite a bit of houses available. It's a very big market. So now I want to niche down even more. Okay, so in the last video that you just watched, I talked about the capture rate and then the retention rate. And I also talked about the retention rate based off of the type of house you're looking for, because a 4-bedroom, the retention rate for a 4-bedroom could be 80-90%, but for a 2-bedroom, because there's not that much demand, it could be 50-60%. So really understanding which house type that retention rate applies to, or which house type has the best retention rate, is going to be important. However, that's still more of a general market search for someone, it may be you, who doesn't know if they want a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or a 4-bedroom yet, and they want to just go with what's going to make them the most revenue and give them the most assurance that they're going to get to their outcome. Now, once you know exactly what kind of house you want to get, whether that's going to be a 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, depending on where you are at, honestly, financially, and you know that with the amount of resources that you have, a 2-bedroom is probably going to be the best choice for you. So now what you want to do is you want to look at, okay, what is the capture rate for those 2 bedrooms in the city, but specific to the neighborhood. Let me tell you why this is extremely important, because now what you want to do is you want to pinpoint which neighborhoods in this market actually have the best capture rate. And how you're going to do this is going to be very simple, actually. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to do a filtered search on Airbnb for 2 bedrooms. So you're just going to do it simple as possible. 2 bedrooms, do weekend, flexible weekend search, and you're going to do every month for the next, let's just say 6 months. That opens it up so you can see as many possible listings in the market. So you get just a bird's eye view of what's going on. And then you're going to look for 3 things. It might be 2, but I think it's 3. So you're going to be looking for high guest count. So anything above 30 to 50 to 90 to 100, the more the better. But anything under 30, it means you've probably been operating for less than a year. So it's still going to be, it won't be the best data, but if the listing looks beautiful under 30, just bookmark it or wishlist it. But you want to look at high guest count, high reviews. You want to look for high reviews, so 4.9 and above. If you find a 4.8 or your market has a lot of 4.8s, that's fine. 4.85s, that's fine as well. But you want to aim for 4.9 and above. And then honestly, with the way Airbnb is developed, there is a lot of 5-star hosts out there, so it is going to be possible to find. And just find the best operators. Okay, so high review count, lots of reviews, high review count, and then amazing design and photography, and really just high quality hosts. So you don't want to pick a property, so you don't want to pick a property that has only, like, you can only see a slanted picture of a bed as the hero photo. That's not going to be a good indicator. You're looking for amazing interior design, good quality pictures. That's what you're going to be looking for. So those are going to be your 3 metrics, and you're just going to wish list every single one of them. And if you're in a big market with like 4,000 or 5,000 houses and you do that filter and there's still 1,000 houses, I recommend wish listing at least like 50 to 100 of the houses. So go page 1, page 2, page 3, and just keep going and wish list all the ones that just look very good and hit those criteria. The more houses there are, the more developed the market is, the tighter your criteria has to be. So if there's 4,000 houses and 3,000 of them are 2 bedrooms, then what you want to do is essentially that and everybody has a 4.9 star rating, you want to increase it to 4.95 star rating.
If every listing has over 50 reviews, then look for 50 and above or 70 and above reviews. That way you're really dialing in your market research to find the best performing properties in general for your bedroom, for your house type. Now, once you've done that, you go on wishlist as a host. Remember this part. And what happens, which is really cool, is you get a map view of all the houses that you wishlisted. With this map view, you can actually now start seeing pockets of clusters of houses. Okay, and if you don't see the cluster, you either need to zoom out or zoom in, but you're always going to find it in any market. No matter where you are, there is going to be that cluster where a lot of the top performing houses are going to be grouped up. Maybe there's a quadrant in the north side of the city where there's like 20 houses or 15 houses, and then you might see like little spores around the area, but there's like 20 houses in like a 3-mile radius. And then on the south side, you might see the exact same thing. So you're going to notice these things. These are these are what you'd consider the top performing neighborhoods. So these are very, very high end, very, very, where all the top houses are, these are the neighborhoods. What you're going to be doing with this search now is you're going to be doing a market wide in the wish list section, capture and retention rate. So what you're going to do is going to do 1 week out, 2 week out, 3 week out, 1 month out, a month and a half, 2 months out. And then the ones that are always seem to be booked up the most, or the cluster that always seems to have the most booked houses, which the wish list section will show you, which is absolutely amazing. You look at those further and see, okay, for this neighborhood, 3 weeks out, it's about a 90% capture rate. Like, that's really good. Let me look further and see what's going on in that neighborhood. And then from there, what you're going to be doing essentially is once you have those 1, 2, 3 neighborhoods that seem to have high capture rates, now you go on Zillow or Rent Faster and you look for houses in those neighborhoods. Of course, before that, you want to go and see, okay, out of these houses that are always booked, why are they always booked? So now you're doing a little bit of a deeper search. What is the reviews? What are the guests saying about it? What is really cool about this house that keeps it booked? Like, what is going on in this listing that is consistently keeping it booked? And some of them are very easy to find. Some of them might even have like a hot tub, arcade, pool, and they have all these really cool amenities. Some of them might have a really big backyard. Some of them might just be very, very creative in their images, or the house might be very, very architecturally like sound and looks beautiful. So there's all these things that you can gather from this information when you see these houses being booked all the time. You can find out why they're being booked all the time, and then you can take that information, write those things down, because those are going to be your key points. And then when you're looking for houses, doing your market research on Rent Faster and Zillow, you're looking for houses that have these things, or that you can easily add these things when you're ready to get your home. And then you take that address, you pop it up on AirBNB, which we'll talk about in a second, and from there you'll be able to get an entire financial breakdown. And if the house is very similar to the one that you saw that had a very high capture rate, the likelihood of you succeeding is now significantly higher, because you've been able to pinpoint exactly why it's successful. I hope this makes a little bit of sense as we move on, but I want to give you an updated video on the capture rate and the retention rate, and really how to use this specifically for your house type.
All right, guys. So what I want to show you guys right now is market research, right? So there's going to be I'm going to break market research into obviously different sections. But what I want to do first is talk about something that if you don't know about yet, you need to know, which is AirDNA. Okay, so AirDNA is kind of like a subset. It's not owned by Airbnb whatsoever, but it's a website that has a lot of data regarding the Airbnb market. A lot of data. So you can basically search up virtually any city, any country, any city in any country in the world. I think it's mostly going to be the States, though. I think you can search up different places, but it's mostly going to be the States. And this is what you want to be looking at if you're going to be doing market research. Okay, so I'm going to have a few examples here. I've been looking at the Houston market recently, right? So I'm gonna do some of that. The really cool thing about AirDNA is you can do market research. So I'll give you an example. So here you go Houston. So once you go to Houston, give it a second. The loading is not honestly the best, but give it a second. There you go. So you go to Houston, Texas. So now it gives you this data. Okay. So there's just the averages, right? So the averages, it tells you if you go to the bottom here, right here, apologies, you can see how many listings it has. So it has about 20,000 listings. The really cool thing, this is a paid subscription. It used to be a lot more expensive, but it's a lot better now. The really cool thing about this, it shows you almost every listing in on Airbnb and on Verbal. Some of them might not be up to date, and that's the only thing about AirDNA. It's not 100% up to date on everything. Like some of them, you might click them and you might not even find them on AirDNA or Airbnb. But once you do find them, you can trust that the data is going to be pretty accurate. Okay, so you can go here and then go on revenue. So I do it usually based on revenue to see what the potential earnings are for homes in this city. So off the bat, that's what you want to look at. As soon as you go to AirDNA and you're looking at potential city, even if it's your city, go on AirDNA, go on your market, and then go to the listings, and then go on revenue. So by revenue, and you can see the top performing listings off the bat. So here you can already see Houston is a fantastic market. It seems like based off of these, based off the top performing ones. And I like to look at the top performing ones because for me personally, if I'm going to be getting a home, I want it to be one of the top performing ones, and I'm going to aim for that. Okay, because like I said, we're here to find 6-figure listings. Okay, so that's what I usually gear towards. Okay, so now that we have this and we've looked at this, okay, now this thing is, okay, how do we find our own high end property, or how do you find a good performing property? Okay, so the really cool thing is you've seen the markets, you've seen this. Next, what I want to show you guys is actually how to calculate the revenue, which I'm going to show you guys in just a second here. Okay, so what you want to know next is actually how to find the revenue, right? So you go here, you go to revenue calculator. Revenue calculator is one of my favorite things about AirDNA, and I'll tell you why in a second, okay? First of all, it's very accurate, but I want to actually show you. So what I want to do now is I want to go to Airbnb. Okay, let me see here. I'm gonna go to the Houston market, and I want to find a property that I really, really like. Okay, so that's just to give you a general idea. So let's say like I really like this property. So I'm gonna click this, and I'm gonna go all the way down here and see where it's at on the map. Okay, so this is some pretty high level market research right here. So I'm gonna look here. Okay, so where's this? So it's central, a little bit on the north side, but still central. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find it on Zillow. So I'm going to go to Zillow, okay? And I'm going to go to Zillow, and I'm going to try to find not this house, but houses in this similar neighborhood. So like here, okay? So I'm searching up rent 2 to 4K, full bedroom, and I'm going to find something similar to this listing that I just had. So this is the outside of it. Where's the pictures? This is the outside. So I gotta find it's a bigger house, looks like a duplex. So I gotta find something similar to it here. So let's see if we find anything. And even if we don't, like let's say this one for example. Just a good example to get started. So I'll click this one, right? And I wanna get the address. So with this address, I'm gonna take this onto AirDNA. So 2803 Hicks. So 2803 Hicks. Houston, Texas. Okay, so this is the address here. Okay, what I want to do, so this is the projected revenue, the occupancy rate. What I want to do is I want to make sure I know exactly how many bedrooms. So it's 3 beds, 3.5 bathrooms. So 3 beds, 3.5 bathrooms. Let's say we're fitting 8 guests in there. So we update it. So this is about a $50,000 a year property. Okay, clearly not what we're looking for. If you get it on good margins, 100%. But this way this one looks here, $4,000 a month, $4,000 a month, doesn't make any sense. So I want to keep looking, right? So we're in a similar area, so it seems to be in the right area here. Let's see. It seems to be the right area, so it's somewhere in this area right here. That's where you want to look. Okay. Click this. So this one seems like a nice place. 4 bedroom, 3.5 bath. You write the address in here. So 313. Is it 3130? I believe. 30 Heritage Creek. Okay, I'm looking at this property here. Okay, a little bit better here. 4, 3.5, 4 bedroom. 3.5. So about 65K a year this property is producing, okay? So these numbers aren't the end all be all. They're going to be quite similar. But this is a good way to really just start getting a good understanding of what your property is looking like. So if you're looking at, so of course we're looking at 6-figure properties, but if you find a good listing for a lower rent and you get good profit margins, of course, I'm not going to say don't take it, right? We're here to make money at the end of the day. So if we can find a way to make money at low margins or high margins, low costs, we're gonna take those every single day, and that's a beautiful thing. We're aiming for the stars, and even if we land on the moon and we're making money, of course, you're better off doing that than not doing anything at all. All right, so let me take a look at this one. This one looks decent. I like the way this is shaped. This is a unique shape. Let's see here, 5226 Lillian Street. Okay, go back. 5226 Lillian Street. Let's take a look here. Bedroom 3.5. It's about 60K a year property, which is not too bad. Not too bad at all. And so this is how you do some. Hopefully by now you guys have an idea of how to find properties, how to use AirDNA, right? So if you go to AirDNA, you might have to pay for a subscription. I think it's like $20 a month. AirDNA, you go to market first. Still do market research. So you search up Houston. Okay, and then you go here to the listings by revenue count. Sorry, by revenue. You go up here. Then what you want to do is once you know, okay, this is the market you want to go in, then you go to rental revenue or revenue calculator. And then you can start seeing what it's going to do. What I want to do really quickly is let me see if I can find a property. Like this one seems decent. So let me look at this one. So where's this one on the map? Oh, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous property. Let me see. It's going to be on Airbnb. Let me see this here. Okay. This is a nice listing. Or 11 reviews. So it is going to be on the newer side. Still new. Still has some bookings, so that's good. So it's starting to get bookings. But this is a good listing. This is a beautiful listing. Look at this picture. Okay. So what we want to do is see exactly where this listing is. Okay. This is a good way to find your own property, but also a good way to find out what these properties are actually doing as well. So you go here. So it's going to be west side of Houston. Just follow this all the way down. Okay, so we're going Zillow. Same thing. This is the fun part because a lot of people will stop and they give up, say they can't find a property. But once all you need to do is find one property. That's all you got to do. You got to find just one property. If you can find one property, one 6-figure, even a multi 5-figure property that's doing you very, very well, that's all you need once a year to grow your income by 6 figures year over year. Like it seems like a no-brainer to me. So I want to go back to this listing and see if we can get a picture of the outside. Picture of the outside, smart, but it's a gorgeous listing. Not as good as mine, but I'm gonna add that in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go to AirDNA. I'm gonna look for listings in this exact area. Okay, where's the map? Not an exact, because even Airbnb is not going to be exact, but close enough. Okay, off the major highway here on the left. Off the major highway on the left. Here somewhere. Okay. Just double check again. Yes, it should be in the area here. There we go. So it's going to be somewhere in this area. So now we're going to just look at houses that seem appealing and have a lot of space. Something like this. Let's check this one out. Let's see the interior. The floors are made. Oh, I like this one. I like the layout of this one. Interior is okay. About this one. This one's decent. This is the best part about market research. Just search. This one seems decent. I want to check this one out. So 11908 Sterling. Revenue calculator. 11908 Sterling raw. That's the one. Okay. Two bedrooms, three bedrooms, 2.5. Three bedrooms, 2.5. So these are going to be $50,000 a year properties. So the average you're going to find is $50,000 a year properties. That's good. What does that mean? That means that if the average is $50,000 a year, because the six-figure properties are not the average. You're never going to find a market where six-figure properties are the average. If you did, everybody would be rich and would all live and sing in kumbaya. That's not how reality works. So what this means is that the property is still doing about 50K. We're looking for 80, 90, 100K, 110, 120K a year properties. And this is how we find them. This is how we find them. Okay. This one seems really cool. It has a pool. See, this one seems pretty decent. You could do quite a bit with this. Right, let me check this out. So 13103, I believe. 03 Rincon. So 13103 Rincon. Okay, so 43.5. We fit 10 guests in here. This one, so this one has a pool. The thing I like about this one, it has a pool, right? The house seems pretty decent. Even this one has a pool as well. So that's the things we want to look at, right? So it's similar rent as to a lot of these ones, but this one has a pool as well. So we can do a lot with that. Okay, so what you want to do, just so to wrap this up because this video is running a little bit long, but this is how you do market research. Okay, so first things first, you go on AirBNB, right? You find the market that you're in. Okay. Once you have the market and you know that this is where you want to go, then we go to listings, revenue, by revenue count, and then look for the top performing properties or just a property that you think is a perfect size for what you can pay the rent for. Of course, you know a lot more as you do the research. Like something like this is pretty decent. Then go on the actual listing itself and find it on the map. Okay, go on the listing itself, make sure it's real, make sure it's active, make sure they're getting bookings, and then go to the map and find it on the map. Okay. Once you have the ideal location, you're gonna go on Zillow, and then go to that address. Or not the address, but of course you go to the neighborhood and you try to pinpoint it on the map. Okay. Once I have it pinpointed on the map, you zoom in, and then you find houses around that area that are going for around the same pricing, and it looks similar to that listing. Trust me, you'll find them. This is how you do it. Okay. If this is where you're gonna be lazy and not do it, you're not gonna find the house. It's really that simple. It's where I excel at, but it's because I'm able to spend the time to do so. I'm able to spend the time. And the thing is, you just have to do it once. All you got to do is find the right property once. Then you're set. So it seems decent enough. Then you're set. And then you take that address, you go on revenue calculator, you put the revenue in, and then from there you have a way better idea of how much that place is going to bring you. If it's good enough, like this one here, you see the revenue potential. If it's good enough and you see the potential being there, then we can take the next steps. Hey guys, so in the previous two videos, I gave you guys some really good examples, but now I want to get a little bit deeper and really just dive into like the specifics and into the high level. Okay, let me just simplify this as much as possible and get straight to the point. To be successful in Airbnb, Just copy the people who are already successful in Airbnb. That's it. Profound. Congratulations. That's it. Video's over. I'm kidding. If you want to be successful and if you want to have the best property, all you have to do, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just find what works and just do it better. Okay? That is all you have to do. Don't overcomplicate it. Off the bat, so quick caveat I want to add in here. So while I'm doing this market research and I'm showing you how this works, I want you guys to be applying this and actually doing it in your market as we speak. So actually, as I go and change up the guest count and as I start moving things around and start saving properties, I want you to be pausing it from time to time, really just understanding and diving into your market that you're looking at and making sure that the things that I'm doing, you're also doing, but you're doing it in real time. That way you're getting the practice and the reps in. When you search up any market, the top properties that you see here are usually the top performing ones. Those are usually the top performing ones, okay? This one already catches my eye, okay? And I'll talk about how to make it an appealing listing afterwards. This one already catches my eye, so I'm gonna check this one out, okay? With these, what you wanna do as well, you wanna save them with these kind of properties. Okay, I'm looking at properties all over the world, but we'll do Houston. I wanna save this, okay? This seems like a decent property. Let's see the pictures. It's nice, it's funky, it's different, it's unique, it stands out. Okay, that's what you want your listing to look like. I won't talk about that. But what you want to do now, and it's very similar to what I spoke of before, but now you're using more of like real-time Airbnb data to check. So I want to go here, like all of this exact same thing, and find this property, like this specific one. And if you notice, all the performing properties are literally in this area. Okay, wink, wink, hint, hint. Okay, so you start to see a pattern when you start looking and doing enough data. You start seeing a pattern that a lot of the good performing properties are like the southwest side of this market. And this is just general knowledge, but this is just general information, especially just from the short amount of time I've actually been researching this. But you already start seeing a pattern that you can dive into later. So now what you want to do is you want to go on AirDNA. Okay, so markets, you go to Houston. Okay, so you look at this. Okay, now what you want to do, you want to go on Zillow. Okay, go on the map. Go right here. Check the map. Right here. Sorry, I don't have the best attention span. I'm kidding. So right here, okay, I'm gonna zoom a little bit to see if it gives you a little bit more accurate information. You're looking at right here. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in, and this is the area where the house is located. So what I'll do is now I want to find similar houses in the same area. Right, this house here seems to be 4 bedrooms, 5 beds. Okay, so 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. I'll look at 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. This one seems pretty decent. Right along the area. Okay, so let me check this one. Let's check this one out. Okay, so this one seems decent off the bat. I like the pictures. Decorated nicely. What you want to do now, based off of this, now that you know that, okay, that property is performing and it's doing well, find something similar layout, similar pictures wise, just similar overall quality. And now you take this like we did before, all the same thing. Now we're using a different method. Now we go back to AirBNB, AirDNA, revenue calculator, put in the address. 4403 Greeley, Houston, Greeley Street. One's at 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. Three bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Hopefully that doesn't affect it too much. So this is a 4 bedroom in this area. In this same area, if you find a 4 bedroom, it's about $70,000 a year property. American, that's USD. Canadian, that's about $90,000 a year property. Okay, so now we know to look for a 4-bedroom. What if this was now a 3-bathroom? Okay, so now we're looking for 4 beds, 3 baths in this area. If we can find a 4-bed, 3-bath in this area, a good property, we're looking at a $70,000-$80,000 a year property off the bat. Okay, so let's keep looking. Okay, I really like this listing. Good views. Let's take a look at this one. So 4-bed, 3.5-bath. We're looking for that. 1124 W Dallas Street. So this right here is a $70,000 a year property. Okay, that's decent. That's actually a very good property. So now you have an idea of how to find these properties. So this, with these pictures, all you got to do is design it similarly or just better than the one. And this one is already set up for that. Okay, it looks like it might already come furnished. It has a rooftop patio, which means that you can also get some good performance, because I believe this one does not have a rooftop patio. That's a small area outside. So you can get a property similar to that. You can see based off that, this probably making about $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, just like that. So now you know exactly. Now you know a few things. Now you know how to find $80,000, $90,000 a year properties. Now you know how much the competitors should be making around this range. And if you go on AirBNB as well, right? If you go on AirBNB, quick hack for you guys. It takes a little bit longer. If you go on AirBNB, you can actually, if you scroll and go for like review count, and that's the closest one to get to, you can actually scroll by reviews and find this property, and you can see exactly how much it's making a year, which is really cool. I'm not gonna do that right now because it does take a lot of time to do, but it's very simple. You can either do revenue count. You don't know the revenue, so you go review count, right? And then you just find. So these ones have a lot of reviews, so they've been here a long time. So you just go all the way down to what is it, 104 reviews. 104 reviews, and then that listing should pop up with exactly how much money it's making. But that's how you do market research using Airbnb specifically and finding that. And then all you do now, once you have that, you save this. Now you just go and look for more. Look for other performing ones. This is the most time-consuming part of this entire business. And it's really just a market research, but this is how the money is made. This is where the money is made. This one seems decent. This one's unique. And just really just go down, search. If you want to look, filter your search even more, you can filter the search even more, right? Or go add guests and do 5. Like if you want to look at bigger properties, do 8. If you want to do smaller properties, do 3 or 4. And really just start niching down from there. This one's too new to even get any data on, so we have no idea. This one seems decent. And then you just go through the motions. Okay, so at this point, I've already showed you guys how to find properties using AirDNA and how to see how much they make. AirDNA is nice; it's really cool. And this is where most people are going to teach you how to use AirDNA to find properties. But what they're not going to tell you, man, is like the intricate ways, like the high level ways of actually finding properties and seeing exactly how profitable properties are, and really just analyzing your competition. That's what I want to give you guys today, right now. So what I want to do is show you guys how to use Airbnb, the actual platform, to find your competitors, to find your competitors, to wish list them, and to really just see how they're performing, how much money they're making, and really just to keep tabs on them as well. Just so based off of that, you can really just, first of all, you can get your house and compete. Secondly, you can do what they're not doing, and you'll be able to see all of that. So now you should be seeing the Airbnb screen here. What I want to do random market or market I've been looking at recently is Houston. So let's look at Houston real quick. Okay, Houston, we'll do flexible. June, July, we'll go on. So click all of these. What this is gonna do, and I'll talk about in a second, but it just gives me every single available property that's available. Let's do weekend. Available on the weekend. Every single property. Okay. And so off the bat, what it's gonna show me here is places that are available in like the soonest they're going to be available in the weekend, the soonest. What this means that the further out they are, that means they're pretty booked until then. So you see this one right now, we're in last week of May. This one says September 22nd. What that means is that this place is booked every single weekend until September 22nd. So let's take a look at it. So there's a property here, 4.96. It has good reviews, it has good stars, but off the bat, look at these pictures off the bat. So like off the bat, I already know that this property, even though it looks like it's performing, like we already have a slight edge coming into this market just based off of this. So let's see a little bit more about the data. So we'll see the availability. Let's go back to May. June, it looks like it's fully booked. July, fully booked. August, almost fully booked. September, October. So this place is packing up, and then this is not. This is just they close it off for these months. So it looks like it's pretty booked far future. So that's off the bat, the information I have on this property, okay? Hosted by this person. All right, it's in the top 10% of homes. All right, okay. So this one is a pretty decent performing property. Okay, so just off the bat, so this is what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do here, now I'm gonna save this, okay? So what I wanna teach you guys quickly is how to wish list, how to use wish list to track your competitors. And this is how we do it. So we do wish list, 24 create, boom. So now we have that, all right? And then we just continue and just do that all the way. So we have these different properties here. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to filter out for the properties that we're looking for, right? So for the purpose of this, it's going to be entire homes, of course. I want to do guest favorites because those are going to be the top performing ones. And now what we're looking for is the top performing properties. That's what we're looking for in our niche. And our niche is going to be a little bit bigger houses, high performing houses, right? So we're gonna do like 3 bedrooms, 2 beds, bathrooms, whatever. So now we went from, if you look now, went from over 1,000 homes. As soon as we did 3, that's half, right? So let's say we went to like 4, that drops significantly. So there's not that many 4 bedrooms in Houston. So let's look at that. Let's keep it here. Do 3 bedrooms, and that already drops, right? From any, not by much, but still. So if one had 4 bedrooms, 3, 4 are on the same, okay? And then of course we have the guest favorites for the superhost. Now we show all these homes here. Okay, so in total, in all of Houston, there's about 140 homes that are gonna be on like listed, which is not too bad. So now we'll see exactly like when they're gonna be available. So see off the bat, this one says September, this one says November, right? So it could be one of 2 things, and people won't talk to you about this, but it could be either that they're closed and they're living in it and they're staying there and they just shut out the listing until then, or they're just fully booked every weekend until that November. If so, that's fantastic. So let's check that out. Translation, I'm speaking English. So definitely guess Superhost, which is amazing. Good for them. Now let's check this out. So they're pretty booked, right? But one thing you want to notice as well, so they're going to be pretty booked. So I'm going to save this one. All right. But off the bat, you can tell the pricing strategy isn't the most effective. How do I know that? Because look, every week they have availabilities in the weekdays. So they're not capturing their weekdays at all, right? Their weekends are booked. That means their pricing for the weekends are good. But I'm guessing their pricing for the weekends and weekdays are around the same. The thing is, your pricing for your weekends has to be a little bit more than your weekdays. Your weekdays have to be a little bit cheaper. So if your weekends and weekdays are the same, it's worth it in the weekends, but it's not going to be worth it in the weekdays. And that is why they have this opening here. So they're missing out on quite a bit of money if they're doing 350 a night. They're missing out on quite a bit of money just being open in the weekdays, right? That's already some very, very valuable information that you can use if you're looking at this market. I'm not saying I'm looking at this market, but if I were to be looking at this market, this is exactly what I'd be looking for, right? The pictures themselves mid-tier. These are mid-tier pictures. So you already have a few ways of coming in and really just dominating this one, right? And then we can even see based off of that. So 350 a night. So that's Friday. Let's do Monday to, let's check there. You see 350 a night. So they're weekend and weekday price. Like I said, they're the exact same. The proof is in the pudding. Here's the proof here. That's good for you. Why? Because they clearly don't know what they're doing, but they're clearly still making money. So there's a lot for you to be able to know or do here to come in and really just take over and outperform this property easy. See here, even like this is mid. Let's see this 350 a night, right? It should not be the same. It should be different. Okay, so just off the bat, you can already start seeing gaps in this market. So I'm gonna save this for later. So I have that. Let's check out this one's nice. Let's check this one out. Pictures a lot better, a lot better for this one. Top 10%, 5-star. Okay. Okay, and then off the bat, very similar things here. The weekdays, but I mean they have some weekdays booked, but a lot of weekdays are still going to be available here. And your pricing strategy really has to reflect the fact that your weekdays might be open, so they have, like, you want to get it booked. Of course you want to get it booked, but there's things you got to do that, and they're not you really capitalizing on that, right? It could just be the market, but I think the thing is, like, I honestly doubt that. The pricing might not just make sense for it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now for the purpose of this is we just save this as well. All these should be in the same area, but create wish list. So here, and I'm just going to save all these. So these are the ones that are catching my eye and look like they have the most potential. So I'm going to save all of them. I'm not going to look at things like have 16 or 14 reviews. I want to look at properties that have 50 or more reviews. That means they're well seasoned. Honestly, at 100, you're well seasoned, but because it's a bigger property, 40, 50 seems well seasoned. This one has a 4.85. The listing looks like it's beautiful. The 4.85 doesn't do it justice, but I'll keep it here. I'll add that here. So this is how you do wish lists. Okay. Now, the really cool thing is, not only you go here, now you go to wish list, right? Got it. So you go to these, you go here. Now I have this, but on top of this, so now I have this here. Okay. Now you'd have to be a host to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like as a host, what you get when you look at this. Because here, as a host, you get a lot more data. But I'll show you guys in a sec. Okay, guys. So what I want to do now is show you guys what it looks like as a host. When you go to host, you go to wish list. I added a few more, but when you go here, I'm gonna go to Houston. Okay, now you get these, and now you get the map view first of all, which is really cool. You don't get that. You need to be a host to get this. But on top of that, what you can do, you can add the dates. This is where it gets fun, because what you can do now, based off of that, you can do like 3rd to 5th. And that's now that you start looking at these when you actually have your property. You save it, and then you have these two properties, so you can start seeing what's available and what's not, and you can basically do a price, like price adjustments as to what the market is looking like. So these are going to be similar. So if you're way out of price, you know it off the bat based off your competition. And if you're better, you can just price yourself higher. So you can always, if you know you're on average about 15% higher, and now you're listing, let's say your third listing here, yours is this one, it's like $750 or $900 a night, but now you see these ones are going for $640. You can even make your adjustments based off of that. So you're always competing. Okay, so that's the beautiful thing about wish lists, is you can track your competition's pricing, number one, or you can just track how they're doing overall, right? So that's the key when it comes to wish listing it, and you can keep as many here and just track your top 5 to 10 competitors and really just see what they're doing. And the cool thing is that they don't know how to do this. Most people don't know how to use wish lists. Most people really don't. So you'll be able to track them. They won't be able to track you. So they're going to be wondering, how come you're outperforming them? And they'll never know until they find out. But guess what? Like, you're already making your money, right? And these are the kind of things that you want to know beforehand. These are the things you'll know right now, so that when you do get into the market, you already have a way better idea, and you're competing. This is how I was able to come and compete with all of these bigger companies and other houses that are in my market, because I knew these things that they didn't know. So I'm coming in with 1, 2, 3, 4 houses in this market, and I'm just dominating because I know these things. I know what to look for. I know exactly what to price my house to be able to always stay competitive and always charge more. Okay, guys. So now we get to the part where you found a potential house, right? Now it's time to reach out to the landlord and book a viewing. Essentially, just negotiate with the landlords. Okay. So this is a part where most people find the hardest. Okay, or it takes the longest to get approvals on for most people. Let me tell you why. Okay. So the reason people find it so hard or they can't get any like yeses is because just really not being able to explain what the business model is, or not even having the confidence to have a full conversation to be able to build the trust between yourself and the landlord. Okay, because like so simply just not giving the landlord the confidence that they need to trust that you will take care of the home. That's simply it. Okay, so the way you present to the landlord would be that they would actually benefit if you chose to work with them. You're the asset. Okay, so you aren't selling them or anything, right? You're just simply making them understand that you're a professional and that the simple fact that you came to them shows that you've already done your research and that you're confident this is the place where you can leverage your arbitrage skills to get the most out of the home. Okay, while providing an excellent service for the guest and providing trust and confidence in the landlord. Okay, so if you come in with this authority framework, don't be arrogant, of course, right? But come with a sense of humility and confidence that you've done this 100 times before, 1,000 times before. It's just another one of the houses that you're going to be getting, and you want to assist them because you know that you're an amazing tenant, and any landlord would be lucky to have you as their tenant in their house. Okay, so that's kind of the framework you want to use. All right. So it's going to be in both you and because it's going to be in both you and the landlord's best interest. The home is always going to be in 10 out of 10 shape. Okay. And it's going to be maintained and going to be meticulous because like you have high-end clients coming into the house, and this is how you're going to pitch it. They have high-end clients coming into the house, so the house is always going to be cleaned by professional cleaners after every stay. So it's going to be in your best interest that the house is going to be in amazing shape. So it's going to be in their best interest because they're going to know that the house is always going to be in good shape. Okay. Now I'm just going to give you like a step-by-step breakdown to make you an absolute killer when pitching landlords. Okay. So make sure you do every step. I'm showing you. So as I'm speaking, I want to just give you guys the dialogue of the thought process behind why I wrote this down. So step one. All right. First of all, make sure you do everything. Make sure you do all the steps. Okay. And keep in mind that you're not going to have a 100% success rate. Okay. You're not going to close every single landlord. Some landlords are stubborn. Some landlords you don't even want to work with. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's going to be a numbers game, but I'm going to teach you how to increase your odds significantly. Okay, so step one, find 5 to 10 properties that are like a 6 out of 10 that are okay, decent. If you got a yes, you don't really care, right? But this is to get your practice rounds in. Record yourself as well, just so you can see where you need to fix, and where you need to adjust, and where you need to tweak. Okay, this part is actually one of the most important parts. Because if you go to an actual landlord and a place that you actually want to rent and you're fumbling at your words, like what do you expect them to say? I'd say no. You know what I mean? So make sure you do have the practice rounds in. Trust me, this is one of those things where you hear me now, believe me later. Have some practice rounds. Okay. Once you have those practice rounds, okay, then you want to get to step 2, which is have a list of 5 to 10 properties that you know you want to sign leases on, and you want to start reaching out to them. Okay. So I want to make sure 1, the place is still available. Okay. 2, that you're meeting them in person. 3, that you're going to get as much details as possible on that call. All right. And 4, you've already done the practice call. So you should have a little warm up. So now it's just simply having a conversation. Okay. It's simply a conversation. The end goal, of course, if it works out, if it works out, you have a house that you lease. If it doesn't, you still have a friend. Okay. You found someone else. That's how you should be going to every single one of these calls. Okay. If you go in like, oh, my outcome should be to get the property. The thing is, you're going to bend your words in a way that are going to feel manipulative and forced and ingenuine. That's not what we want, okay? We're in the people business, so we have to treat it as such. Our guests are people, but so are the landlords, right? The way you get to 6, 7 figures, 8 figures in this business is to realize that you're not going to get anywhere by screwing people over or by being disrespectful to people, okay? Have genuine conversations with people. See, because landlords, they have fears, okay? They want to just trust that you're going to take care of the home. That's really it. They're human beings, right? That's all they want to have. So if you can come and ease that tension and make them feel heard and secure, dude, you're gonna get a yes from everyone, and you're just gonna be the one saying no because it doesn't work for you. Okay. So questions you want to ask. Sorry, I went off into a tangent, but it's going to be extremely important. So questions you want to ask. So how long has the home been available? Okay. Why is it up for rent? You want to know the why. Okay. Can the price be negotiated? Are pets allowed? Are they open to 2 to 3 year leases? When are they looking to have this lease signed? How many people are realistically going to rent? How many people are realistically looking to rent this home? And then, like, what do they need to see from you as the renter to give them the confidence to rent it out to you? Okay. Another thing as well, so before all of this, when you're actually speaking with them, and I'll talk about this in a second, you actually want to confirm that this is the right place, of course. So you say, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm looking at your place for rent. I just want to confirm if it's available. Yes, is it 1, 2, 3, 4 Yellow Brick Road Avenue? Yes. Is this the rent? This is square footage? Yes. It's located in this area? Yes." Get the yeses. So you're already going to be in sync, and then ask these questions. Okay. Remember, you are the one asking the questions. Okay, you are the asset. You are the high quality renter that every landlord will want in their home. So act like it, and own it. Okay, tell them that you're very interested and would be interested in meeting in person, so you can meet them face to face, so you can see if this will if this is going to make sense for the both of you. Okay, if it does make sense, perfect. You look at the next steps. If not, you part ways as friends, and you want to say these things as well. Okay. Then now you schedule a date and time. So if you're in a different city or a state or province, they want to do schedule a Zoom meeting. Okay, it's going to be very similar, but that's what you want to do. All right. So if you're going to meet them in person, right, once you have everything scheduled and you go to see them, it doesn't have to be so scripted. Okay, you're going to them. You're going to first of all talk about them for the first 5 minutes. How you doing? Just tell them who you are, your name, what you do for work, what you do for a living. You can even, like for me, I have a couple of other businesses, so I talk about the other businesses that I have. Right, and I do that. If you have like a day job, talk about the day job. Okay, just talk about these things. Say this is what you do. This is what you do. You have a few different things, but you do this as well. Talk about them a little bit. Get to know them. Just show them that you're a human being. Okay. And then essentially what you're going to be doing from there, right, is just going to be saying, after you look at the entire place, you're going to look at the entire place and then say, okay. So then you tell them, say, hey, so for this house, I'm actually planning to use this as a corporate rental. And you ask them, do you know what that is? Like, no. They're either going to say yes, no, or is it Airbnb? Say yes, perfect. And then if they say yes or no, exact same, whatever answer they give you, you say the exact same thing. So if they say yes, perfect, you explain how it works and how you do it. Say no, perfect, you explain how it works and how you do it. Okay. Airbnb, you say perfect, you explain how it works and how you do it. Okay. Because everyone's going to have their own preconceived notions. So you want to explain how you do it specifically. Because everyone hears, and especially landlords, they're only hearing it from the news. They don't hear it from someone who's actually doing it. Now you're actually doing it. You're like, they might have preconceived notions, but they don't know much about it. So when you actually tell them, they're actually going to be excited because they've always wanted someone to tell them how it works, but no one's ever told them. So you coming in, they're actually going to pay you a listening ear. So this is how you're going to explain it, okay? So basically what I'm going to be doing is, we're going to say is essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be renting out the house from you, all right, as a tenant, and I'm going to have some of my guests in this property, right? So sometimes they're going to be lawyers, sometimes they're going to be doctors, sometimes they're going to be a family traveling, sometimes even just going to be me coming in, especially if it's out of town, you can use that, right? They're going to be staying for 1, 2 days, sometimes they're going to be staying for a week, sometimes even a month at a time, and then they're going to be, for, let's say it's either for business or for work, and then they're going to be leaving, and then my cleaners come in and then do a turnover, make sure everything's clean, and then I get ready for the next property, for the next person who's going to be coming by. Okay. The beautiful thing about this is I'm incentivized to keep this place in immaculate shape always. I do the vetting processes myself, and I have my team that does the vetting. The cleaners are all going to be from my team. Okay. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I do have partners who are with me to be doing this. Okay. And if they ask who your partners are, just say me. Okay, just say you work with people who've been doing this for a very long time, and you've been yourself been doing it for a long time, so you know exactly what you're doing, and you're coming from a network of people who do this worldwide. So you guys are professionals. Okay, the reason that you are even there, and this is how I always say is, the reason I'm even here is because I know this is gonna work. I wouldn't waste my time or your time calling you for a maybe. The reason I'm here is I looked at over 100, over 200, over 300 houses, and I saw that this house has a lot of potential because I know the way I run my business, and I can maximize this. So me coming to you is a certainty that your house is going to be rented for a long time, you have no problems, and that it will be successful for me enough to be able to pay you month over month with no hiccups. All right. If I didn't have that confidence, I wouldn't be here. So this is essentially how you're going to pitch it. You're going to go through the script as well here, and just basically having a conversation. And more importantly than the words you say or the outcome is the confidence that you exuberate through this entire process. So by now so this is why it's important to watch this entire course. Once you watch this entire course, you have a way better idea of what Airbnb is, so you can actually explain it in a way that's confident. All right. When you explain it in a way that's confident, it doesn't matter what you say. The way you say it will be enough to convince almost anybody. Okay. So as I was saying, When you get on the phone call initially with them, you're going to be asking all the questions. That's one. Then on top of that, after you ask all the questions, you book a schedule. If it's going to be in town, you go meet them in person. If you're not in town, you do a Zoom call. Okay. And then you let them know exactly what is happening. So you're going to tell them, hey, I'm going to use this as a corporate lease. Okay. So corporate lease involves private rentals that I'll be doing myself. Um, Sometimes doctors, sometimes lawyers. I have contracts with different companies who need to house their staff that I take care of, and sometimes it might be on Airbnb. So Airbnb is just one of the platforms. Okay, some of the income comes from there, but not all of it. It is going to be diversified. So you have different people. You do the vetting process. Okay, like I'm talking about, landlords sometimes get nervous because they don't have you. You have to instill the confidence. They don't have the confidence because they're unsure. They don't want random people coming into their house. Okay, so simply just reassure them that every single person that's going to be coming into the house, they're trained and vetted. Not trained, excuse me. They're going to be vetted by you and by your company and by the third party companies that we use. They're all going to be vetted, all right? And we're going to take care of the maintenance. We're going to take care of all the minor maintenances, so you'll almost never get a call from us. And that's a beautiful thing about being being a landlord, especially being with us, is that we take care of almost everything. If there's a bigger cost or something's actually happening with the house that you need to know about, we will tell you. But everything else we take care of. Okay, and you can even tell them that you own homes yourself, right? And you already work with people who already own their homes, and you're a homeowner, and you know how nice it is to have a headache-free tenant. We are a headache-free tenant. We can do 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and even if you do 1 year for a tester and then see how we are, that's completely fine. But we have the capital to pay for this entire thing, even give you a 6 month advance. We're not going to do that, right? But you never have to worry about it. So even if the house makes no money, and they're going to ask us sometimes, even if the house makes no money, we still have enough to cover it because of the business that we have running. So this is how you're going to be. So this is how you negotiate with the landlords. Okay, it's super simple. Get the practice in. This is the scientific and the philosophical breakdown of it, right? You want to understand what they're thinking before you can solve their problems. You want to know what their problems are. So, and these are their problems. Okay, let me just go through it one more time because I want to beat this into you guys so that you guys are actually confident and comfortable doing this. So, as a landlord, get into their heads for a second. What do they want? They want their house to be rented out. Very simple, with no headaches and while making money. That is it. Okay. So, if at any point of this three-step process they don't feel confident, they're going to say no. So you can let them know that, hey, I'm coming in as a long-term tenant and I'm not going to give you any headaches and I'm going to be paying on time. And you can show them that and prove that to them and make them feel confident in that. They're always going to say yes, to the point where they're going to be begging you to take their house and take any other properties that they have that you might like. You guys have no idea how many times I've gone and pitched landlords for some of my clients. And the landlord say, well, I have 2 or 3 other properties if you want to rent it out. And now you have one landlord renting out 3 or 4 properties as long as the numbers work, and you have a match made in heaven. Okay? All right, guys. Catch you on the next one. Congratulations on getting this far in the course. By now, you've probably learned a lot of information and you're probably speeding through it. And I'm very, very proud of you. I wanted to quickly just make this quick video just to let you know that this is very, very important what you're learning, and you're doing an amazing job. And hopefully by now you can tell that I get very, very intricate with this because I truly want you to be seen as an authority and as a professional, and you can really just have that confidence going into this. What I want you to do next is I want you to actually make a post in the community about where you are right now, what you've learned, and what you are excited about, or what are some really cool things that you've learned that you didn't know before, or some things that you're really excited about moving forward, whether that's going to be the market research, negotiating with landlord, things that you want to now try and really just start putting into practice. So definitely comment in the community, make a post. I'm going to be in the community looking at your post, replying back to you, having that conversation, and we're just watching you grow into the person that you envisioned yourself to be, truly. So thank you for sticking around, continuously watching the videos, taking the notes, which I hope you're taking a lot of notes. And now we're going to move on to the next module and really just continue this process. Hey guys, welcome to another video. What I want to be talking about today is going to be design, okay? Design is one of those things that is extremely, extremely important, but it's very easily overlooked, okay? People underestimate the importance of design. Why? Because maybe for themselves, they don't really care, especially when they're booking Airbnb when it comes to design. They don't look at these things. But most people do, number one. And it's not even about you, it's about what's going to get your home booked as much as possible and what's going to differentiate you from your competitors. Okay. Interior design is a form of marketing. The sooner we understand and realize how important design is and how it actually contributes very, very wholly, like with the W, where it contributes or encapsulates your marketing, where it contributes wholly to the marketing, right? The sooner we realize that, the more successful our business will be. Okay, you need a reason to differentiate your business and your listing and your business from the competitors. When you have a place where it might be saturated or it might be overpopulated, people that means people are booking it, right? If a place has too many listings, okay, the reason it has too many listings because at one point people thought that that place was a prime location and that a lot of people would be going there booking. So regardless of whether there's too many houses or not enough people, regardless, people need a reason to stay at your place, and you need to give them a reason to do that. And they're not gonna do that if your listing is gonna be the exact same as everybody else's. Your listing has to stand out. Your listing has to be different. Okay, and that's where interior design. That's where the importance of interior design comes in. What reason are you giving them to book your house? What does your house have? How does your listing look? What are the things that your listing has that they've never seen before, that they're interested in, and that they're excited about? Okay, you want to find all these things and know them and add these to your listing beforehand. That way, when they're actually looking at the listings and looking at the pictures and seeing the interior design, they're getting excited. It's catching their attention. This is how you get the slight edge over the competitors. Because if you have one person looking at 25 houses, interior design is going to be the first thing that they see that will have them choose your listing over somebody else. So interior design is going to be extremely important, and I can't beat this enough. Okay, the hardest thing, and I'm going to be honest with you, when I first got started, was really understanding interior design. Because let's just be honest. For me, I'm a guy, right? So at first glance, I knew nothing about interior design. I tried to design it myself, and it didn't work out so well. All I need is a bed and a TV, and I'm good. Okay, but that's not what Airbnb is about. Airbnb is about giving the guest the entire experience. So what I did is I hired an interior designer to design my properties for me, and I paid a lot of money. What I'm going and it worked. Don't get me wrong; it was extremely helpful, but it was extremely time consuming and extremely expensive. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing on after this is I'm gonna give you guys some tips on interior design, like I've already have been giving you guys some tips, right? Another tip I want to give you guys is the little things do matter when it comes to interior design. Okay, and I'll be going deeper into this. But on top of that, what I want to do is give you guys a furnishing list. Meaning, I'm going to be writing out a list. So you're going to be getting a list in the next one of what things you want to have in your house. So what you want to make sure that you have in your house that you may not have thought of. That's number one. And different color themes, different interior design themes, different interior designing themes that you can use, and different websites you can go to find the best to find the best furniture for your place. Okay, it's don't use it verbatim. Don't use it step by step because it's interior design. It's going to really depend on your market, your city, the vibe that you're going for in your home. On top of that, it's also going to depend on the caliber of guests that you want and different things. So this is going to be just a color scheme and design um, general color scheme and design outlook that I'll be giving you guys, just so you guys have something to run with and really just you have a base foundation that you can build on top of. But I think where you guys are going to get the most amount of value and the real value in the interior design, it will be get that list that gives you everything that you need to have in your home. That's going to be extremely important. So I'm going to give you guys that as well. And on top of that, just talk a little bit about interior design. But trust me, once you found the home, okay, and you found the perfect listing, now it's time to design that listing so that's an A-tier listing compared to your competitors. Once you have the market research done, you have that, and then now you're doing the interior design. Okay, this is going to be the two biggest pieces to build your foundation on. Because once you have that, and coupled with really just having the listing up and not getting bookings and not optimizing to get the most amount of money, now you have a very cash flowing business. These little things are going to put you over the top. Okay. Okay, so now that you have an idea of how you're gonna stage your listing, now you're gonna have to get the photography ready. Okay, don't use an iPhone or an Android to photograph your home. You want to hire a professional for this. I am telling you right now, it's going to be extremely important that you do so. Number one. Number two, you see the difference when a professional photographer does it versus when someone just takes their phone and just snaps the pictures. They're going to get the right angles. Okay. If your photographer, works even better. If you don't have the money for a photographer, I'd suggest you make a little bit of a budget for it. It should cost you no more than maybe like $100 to get a photographer for it. It's gonna make the world of a difference, okay? And they're gonna know the angles for it, for how to list and how to take pictures. Make sure you get a professional. The cool thing is that a really cool excuse me, a really cool thing is that Airbnb actually has professional photographers that you can actually reach out to on the platform. So that's going to be neat as well. I have a professional photographer. Sometimes you can even get realistic photographers to take the picture of your home. Make sure they get anywhere from, depending on really how big the house is, anywhere from 20 to 50 photos. If you can get 50, that's even better, so you have more to pick from. Okay, make sure you get majority of the photos for the living room and the kitchen, and really just all the cool amenities that you have. So if you have a pool, get a few angles from there. Make sure you get a lot of sunlight in your make sure there's a lot of sunlight in the pictures as well. Make sure everything just looks beautiful, everything looks perfect, and really just things are where they need to be. Okay. A really cool thing that I like to do is I have a hero photo. So my hero photo is going to be my living room, and then I have maybe two shots of the living room, so the people see two different angles. Because the one shot will be like, oh, this is really cool. The second shot will be like, okay, now it confirms how awesome the listing is. Then I have an area of like the kitchen or the dining, because I like to design my dining area, my kitchen area in a way that just stands out. Okay, that's number two. Another thing I like to do as well is have just certain angles. So what I have, and I'll show you guys some examples, is I have an area that is not going to be the most functional. It's just basically just going to be a couch. It just looks amazing. So I have like a section, like a couch off in the corner in one of the bedrooms, and then I have a portrait behind it and then a lamp. Okay, just these little things just increases the perceived value of the home. Okay, it does nothing else but that, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I like to call it the money shots, right? So remember this, money shots. You want to have as many money shots as possible. Not too many where people are like, what is going on, but just enough where you have your living room, your kitchen, your bedrooms, but also money shots, which is basically corners or sections of the house that just look very good. And all this is going to do is add to the appeal of your listing. Okay, so have your hero photos and have a few money shots as well, and then just have as many pictures as possible of the entire home. Just make sure it's looking good. Don't, like I said, don't use your phones. Use a professional photographer. If you have maybe a camera they can use that takes pictures in 4K or 1080p, use that, right? And that's going to really help. That's going to really help. A camera does more wonders than a phone. From my experience, we only use professional photographers. It's a little bit more expensive, about $100 or so. It will not cost you more than $20 unless you're getting a very, very big property. So it should be a little bit less than that, but it will be very worth it in the end when you get your photos received. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the difference between a professional photographer and someone taking photos from the iPhone, and you're going to see the difference. Hey guys, so what I want to do very quickly here, right before this you would have seen my video regarding photography and how important it is. I want to give you guys a quick example. This took me 30 seconds to find because I see it every day. This is the difference between a listing that's professionally photographed and listing that someone used their iPhone or just skimped or just didn't want to, maybe just not that they didn't want to, maybe they didn't know that a professional can do it just a way better job. So I'll give you a quick example here. So this one here is a professional photography, and this one here will be something captured by iPhone. So I'll give you the first example, which is professional photography. So if you see here, let me go back. These are your first 5 photos. So these are your hero photos. So this is your hero photo. Then you have the other photos, and these are what I call your money shots. Okay, so if you look closely here, so you can see the photos and the design, the thought that went into each photo, the angles, the shots. You see what they're doing here? This is a photo taken professionally by professional photographers. Okay? And then you see all of this. So you can see how beautiful it is, how appealing it is, especially when you look at it from here. And this is what most people are going to look at. Right? You can see how appealing it is like this. Versus, let me give you the other example. Sorry, this example right here. So you already see the difference. Right? This one looks like somebody took an iPhone and just started shooting pictures. Okay, these ones aren't too bad.
So they get better here. But these right here, and even the listing itself, could do some work. Okay, so you have one taken professionally, and then you have one taken with an iPhone. All right, you want to have a professional photographer. Let me see if I can find some other examples for you guys here. So this one will be professional photographer. This one's a little bit professional. You have something like this. This is not a professional photographer. Okay, so it does make a difference. It does make a difference. When you're here looking at Airbnb and looking for a place to book, are you going to book this one or are you going to book this one? Okay, are you going to book this one? Oh, well, let me see a better one. This one's not too bad. Or are you going to book this one? Look at the hero photos here. I'll give you a second. See the difference already? Or this one. Okay, so the hero photo is going to be important, number one. The photography is also going to be extremely important, number two. All right, so keep that in mind when you're ready to list your property on Airbnb. The photo is going to be important. Hey guys, so welcome to another video. This video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be showing you guys how to set up a listing, and the best way to do that is to set one up myself. So I'm actually going to be setting up a listing right now in real time, and I'm just going to go through exactly what that looks like, just so you know exactly what to expect, and just the tips and tricks I'll have along the way. So let's just get started. So it's going to be very, very easy. Below this, I'm going to have a link to refer you as a host. What that does is as soon as you have your first booking, you get things like $100 or something, which is really cool just to get you guys started. So you're already making some money. But then it's going to have these 3 steps. So it's going to be very simple at first. The beginning is actually the easiest part, to be honest. Getting it set up. It's after you actually have the listing set up that you have to go back into the settings and add a few things that it doesn't give you the chance to. And that's where a lot of people make the mistake, especially when they're starting out their listing. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. So this one's going to be an apartment. It's definitely not a yurt. It'll be the entire home. 4 guests, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So of course now you want to click as many of these as possible. So Wi-Fi, TV, kitchen, washer, free parking. You want to click all of these, or as many as are applicable. You want to be as honest and as upfront as possible, because if not, you will get a bad review if one of the guests try to book it for that reason and it's not available. So try to be as upfront and as clear as possible in everything that you do have in the house. Okay. And I just simply add photos. So now that you have your listing, the photos up, now you want to pick your hero photo. So the hero photo is basically what the potential guest will see first, what's going to grab their attention. And you want to have something that's going to stand out from the rest. So it really just depends on the color scheme that you chose, and really has to encapsulate all of that in the hero photo. Usually what I tend to do for my hero photos, I'll have an angle of the living room that showcases everything, or maybe a really cool design in one of the rooms that I have. But I find that the living room does work best at a slight angle, and make sure that it pops and does stand out. And then the first 5 pictures are actually going to be the most important, because when you're on a computer, Airbnb actually shows all 5 first. So it shows all of 5, so you don't actually have to scroll when you're on your computer. So you can actually see everything without scrolling. And that's what's going to attract them. So the first 5 will be the ones that attract the guest. Anything after 5, statistically speaking, it actually just drops off. People don't have the longest spans of attention. So the first 5 should just grab their attention. And then after that, if they haven't looked further at your place after 5, the likelihood of them looking is very, very low. So you want to make sure the first couple of pictures you have are going to be the best ones. And then, of course, you still want to make sure every single picture is of high quality and high caliber. So for now, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to have a nice one of the master bedroom. Something like this. Put that right here. And then I can optimize for the other pictures later, but just the first 5. These you can always change after the fact as well. So you can test these out for the first couple of days, first couple of weeks, and then test and then change them afterwards. And then for the apartment title, what you want to have is something that describes your apartment in a and just easy to read, something easily digestible. So what I want to have is river view or something like gorgeous. And these you can always change them out after testing them, and you don't have that much space to write them, so it's something you do want to think about. But it's not too important. But it's something you can take some time in the front end thinking about and planning, and then you don't have to really change it afterwards. So something like this. I cannot spell. I'm sorry. There we go. Just something like this for now. So gorgeous riverfront apartment. And then you can add things as you can optimize it and make it better as you go. That's what I'm going to keep it for now, just to keep it as basic and as simple as possible for you guys. Describe it. So peaceful and central is what I'm going to go with. Actually, I want to go with stylish and central. It is going to be peaceful, but it's this one's at this location, so I believe it describes it the best. And then this is your description. So your description is going to be quite important. So this is something you don't want to just type and leave alone. It's something you actually want to think about typing, because this is exactly after people book or look at your listing and click your listing because the picture attracted them. Now it's what you say about the place that's going to actually get them to book. So this is something you want to think about and actually plan for, because it's going to be important. You can always change it afterwards, but I find that with these, I've only changed for the units that we have. We've only changed it about once or twice since we began, because we just made it very, very good and very, very engaging in the beginning. So I'm going to type something out for you guys about this listing. Just look at a rough draft, just so you guys have an idea, and then we can move on from here. So something I just quickly whipped up just now. So perfectly located at the heart of the city. This apartment is a perfect balance between peaceful, but it's still right beside the action. Located downtown, it is just a walk away from tons of restaurants, stores, and pubs. I want to add eateries as well, but I'll add that maybe later. And also, with the river being right in front of the apartment, a peaceful stroll is just a few steps away. Everything you need packed in one place. Welcome to your home away from home. So when they read this, you want them to feel what it feels like to be at the house. You want to give them a sliver of what it will feel like to be at the place, right? Just enough for them to want more. And that's how you get them. You want to really think about it, and you want to really think about how to cater this description to the guest. If you look at it from this perspective, you'll get a lot more bookings, because people do, believe it or not, people actually read these things, especially when they're deciding between 1 or 2 homes. This could actually just be the decision maker. So you want to make sure that you think about this thoroughly and have a very good one. I'm going to have some templates as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to create it for you guys. I'm just going to make it a little bit easier. So I'll make some templates, and you can pick for the one that you believe works best for you, and you can change it up a little bit, but you have a structure to go from that already works, and that should help you as well. Next, so you now finish and you publish. I always use Instant Book, because Instant Book makes you appear more on the actual ranking, and appearing more is obviously going to boost your listing. When you have to approve or decline requests, some people even look for automatic book or instant book. So if you don't have it, you're not going to show, and you're not going to be ranked as high. So you want to make sure you're automatic booking every single time. And if you're worried about like guest damaging it and things like that, if you have the right systems, and I've showed you by now the security systems that you should have, then you should have no problem with that. And with the kind of guests you want any guest. You don't want to be too picky, because that's gonna affect the ranking. And then price for now, it doesn't really matter. You can set it at whatever. If it's telling you that the comparable is going to be 160 to 240, I'll just do it a little bit higher, because why not? And keep in mind, right after, what it's going to ask is every new listing, you have to put a 20%. It's going to ask you for a 20% boost. You would see it here right now. So for new listings, it's going to ask for a 20% boost. It's going to give you the option to do that, just so you can actually get your first listing. You want to add this. So even if you have to raise your price 20 or 30% just to add this 20% listing or 20% promotion, you want to add it every single time, because what this does is it's actually going to boost you ahead of every other listing. So you get a new listing bonus, and the new listing bonus, I believe, lasts for the first 3 bookings or for the first month or month and a half. So you want to keep that on. And you want to check all of these boxes. So check as many boxes as possible, and that will make you rank higher. And then for security camera, so we do have a security camera only on the outside. So you cannot have a security camera inside. It's actually illegal, and it'll get you banned We do have a security cam outside. It's a Ring doorbell camera that we use to track the people coming in and out of the house, and it's just the outside. And you do want to explain that in your listing as well. Just something very simple. And then noise decibel monitor as well. Weapons, you want to have weapons? That's a joke. Please do not have weapons in your Airbnb. Okay, and this is the preview. I really like this. So gorgeous riverfront apartment, very, very simple. There's a picture right here, and then you confirm. I'm going to change this. This is good, but I think I want to beta test this with another picture and see which one performs better, but I'm going to keep this here just for the sake of simplicity. Hey guys, so welcome back. So what I want to do now is really just show you guys exactly how to set up a listing fully. So there's two parts to setting up a listing. So part number one is going on Airbnb and just simply creating a new listing and putting the settings. Those are going to be the basic ones. Those are going to be too important. It's really just about putting all the information that it requires, and it's going to be very basic information. You should have already seen that. It's going to be quite straightforward. And then all that does is get you ready for your actual listing. So now when your listing is up, you're going to go to listing here. Like I said before, I'm using an example of a listing, one of the listings that I'm getting set up right now currently. So once you go in here, this is actually where the fun begins, because now is where you want to actually optimize your listing, because now it's live. So what does this mean? What you want to do now is actually start changing the photos. So now the way I set up the photos before, it's totally out of whack and totally different right now. Key number one is you want to fill in as much of all of this information as possible. And I'm going to go through it step by step, but you want to fill in as much information as possible and have as many pictures as possible, minimum 20. When you have bigger properties, 3, 4, 5, you want to have minimum 40 or even 50. I think they changed it recently on Airbnb, but one of my listings have about 40 pictures. The more the merrier, to be honest with you. But all I'm saying is this: have as much information filled out as possible. So here I'm going to go through it quickly. These are my photos, and these are how they came out. This is not how I want it whatsoever. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to manage these photos, okay? So these are the top photos that I have, and where are the rest? Nobody knows. So I have to actually go back and add some photos, because not even all the photos seem to have even gone through. All right, and this is the difference between posting it and listing it and actually going into the settings, because you wouldn't have known. A lot of people don't even know this. Okay, so manage photos. So this will be my hero photo, either this one or this one. I'm going to beta test these three. I think these three have the highest potential of being the hero photos. I'm going to beta test between this one and this one. And beta testing simply means I'm going to have this one for a couple of weeks, see what the bookings look like, see what the show is going to be like, and the booking percentage will look like, and then have this one for the next couple of weeks, and just see if it's going to be any increase in bookings because of those. Okay. So have that. And then you want to have all of these filled. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back, and I'm going to just add a bunch of photos. I'm going to add all the pictures. Looks like it didn't upload. So I'm just going to go add all of these pictures that like I did before. I really hope this is recording. That would be very, very awkward. There we go. Open. Okay. Upload all. Okay, so now they're all uploaded. So now they're actually all uploaded. Okay, so now what I want to do sleeping arrangements. So what I have is fill in as many of these as possible. So I have 2 queen beds. Okay. Save. Okay. Privacy information. No. Amenities. So I'm gonna have fill out, like I said, fill out as many of this as you possibly can and make sure they're all true. Okay. So then with managing photos, so these are gonna be my hero photos. You want to optimize at least the top 10. Top 5, try to get to top 10. Optimize those because people, when looking at your listing, they're going to look at least the top 5 photos and now they will then decide if they want to book or not book. So the top 5 have to be very, very engaging and captivating. So what I want to do is this. So I have these 2. I'm also going to have a shot of the dining because I know the dining. I see the dining is beautiful, and then I'm going to have 2 shots of the dining here. So I'm going to do this. So 2 shots of the living room so they get different angles. You're like, oh, this place looks nice, and then this one just confirms that it looks nice. 2 shots of the dining, and by this time they should honestly be hooked enough to want to see more. Okay, and then I'm gonna add this picture here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a picture of one of the bedrooms, a really good picture of the bedroom. So I'm gonna add. I like this one and like this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here. So this listing itself, it's not one of my A-tier listings. It's not one of the A-tier listings. I consider it very nice, but this listing is one of the ones that we put up on a budget. So clients that I'm working with had a little bit of a smaller budget client that I'm helping had a little bit of a smaller budget to work with. So we try to do A-type property with B-type, C-type budget. And this is how it came out. We've already had a private booking, and the private booking absolutely loved it. We already have a couple of more bookings before this listing is even up. So that's good news. So we're already writing in a positive there. But as we get more bookings, the money will go towards optimizing this listing to make it A tier. So right now we're looking at this is going to be kind of like a B tier, high B tier, because we're able to find some good furniture and good things for low prices. But we want to make this A tier so we can actually charge A tier pricing for it. But that being said, the photos are what's going to attract the people. So we wanted to just fill as many things as possible to make it as attractive as possible. That's what you want to be looking at. This is not how you market your listing. So you want to make sure that the listing looks amazing every single time. Okay? And especially if you don't have the biggest budget, just make sure the pictures look good and then you can optimize later. So I'm going to add one picture of the room here. And I'm also going to try to sneak in another picture of the kitchen. And then I'm going to sneak in another bedroom right here, which was this one right here. So I'm going to sneak this in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At this point, people who are looking at this listing this deep, they should already know if they want to book it or not. So none of these are going to matter as much. And then, yes. So for now, this is going to be good, right? I have that selected. Perfect. Okay. So then you want to fill these out as well. So full bathroom. What does a full bathroom look like? I have to get a picture of the bathroom. So you want to make sure all of these are filled out. Okay. So living room, kitchen, living room. How many pictures there? Okay. Kitchen. Perfect. Dining area. Perfect. Bedroom 1. I want to add a few more. Not this one. To bedroom 2. Move from bed to bedroom 2. This is bedroom 1. Bedroom 2. Not this one. This is bedroom 2. Add some pictures from bedroom 2. I'll add some pictures. You know what? Let me just add manually. Let me just add some pictures manually. Bedroom 2. So that one's going to be added. This one was nice. And then another one I think is gonna be repeat, but whatever. This one, okay. Uploading these three. Okay, sleeping arrangements. So queen, you don't have to share with anybody. No air conditioning in this unit. Bed linens, clothing, storage, essentials. Everything's gonna be here. Hanger, eating, indoor fireplace. All right, done. Accessibility features. Okay, that's for bedroom 2. You want to do this for every single bedroom. So living room, I might have to adjust these because I added everything here. Looks like Airbnb changed their settings a little bit for the listings. But here's gonna be all living rooms. Here's gonna be all kitchen, all dining area. Try to have 3 to 5 on every single room minimum. I want to have the full bathrooms here. Let me see if I have mine. Looks like it's not here. Okay, you know, I'll add that easy. Add the full bathrooms here, full bathrooms, exterior, and just have that completely filled out. Okay, so that's gonna be for the photos. That's specifically for the photos. So let's do a quick recap. What you want to do is the first 5 photos are gonna be the most important ones. The first photo is gonna be your hero photo. So that's a photo. That's the picture that people see when they're actually scrolling through the dates when that yours are gonna be available. It's the first one that captures their attention. So you want to make sure that it actually captures their attention. All right. So how do you do that? By having something that's going to stand out, that's going to be different than the competitors. We chose this colorway because when we looked at our market and looked at the closest competitors in our market, this colorway wasn't. All of them were very bohemian themed. So none of them really stood out in our eyes. So we decided to add a pop, and that's where the carpet comes in, and then that's where the big painting in the back comes in. It just pops, and it instant eye grabber, and that's why we chose this colorway. Okay, there's different colorways that I have available. I'm gonna have different templates for you guys, and I'm gonna be building that out. The different colorways that attract people's attention. This is gonna be one of them, and this is what we went with, and it's already working very very well. So that's gonna be the hero photo, and then the other 4 photos are gonna be kind of like backup photos, but they're gonna be just as important because they're gonna lead the customer into the buy, lead the customer into the booking. So that's what you want to have, right? So that's gonna be photos. Next, we're gonna go through a few more things to make sure that your listing is gonna be optimized. All right, guys, welcome back. So we already at this point we already talked about the title. They want to have something that's going to be engaging and eye grabbing. At first, you only have access to about 30. As you go back again when the listing is up, you actually have access to 20 more. So you want to add more to this. So I put gorgeous riverfront apartment, double queen. So here, especially in apartments, what I always recommend is having king beds. So here I'd put double king beds, right? Because there's going to be an event happening, I'm going to put 5 minutes away from event, and then really just test out and see. But basically, just the first couple of words, this is what people read. So it's what's really gonna it's gonna be the picture and the title. It's what's gonna attract them to your listing. So make sure it's gonna be something eye grabbing. But don't look at what others have and look at the best listings, see what they have, but don't copy it word for word. Just find a clever way to add your own kind of spice to it. Like I said, have as many things filled out as possible. The more your listing is actually filled out, the more Airbnb thinks your listing is a little bit more legit and more optimized, more tenured and more seasoned, the more it'll push you up. And the descriptions here, add details to the property. So you want to add as much details as you possibly can to this. This takes a little bit of thought to actually type out. Something like this. Okay, see if I'm going to change this up later, of course, but just something to add this. Guest access. Okay, save that. Interaction with guests. And details to note. Okay, so that's descriptions, and you have amenities. This is where you want to fill out as many of these as you possibly can. So go edit and basically just add as many of this as possible. I think there's a place we can add more. Here we go. So you're going to bathtub. So everything, soap, cleaning products, all of it. Like you're gonna add as many things as possible. And if your apartment doesn't have it and you can get it, go get it. Because when people are booking, believe it or not, they're looking for these things when they filter it. So you want to make sure that you have as many of these filled out as humanly possible. Your amenities, that's going to be one of the most important ones. The more amenities that you have, the higher the likelihood of you getting booked. So make sure that you have as many of these filled out as possible. And if you don't, and you know you have access to these things and it might cost you a few extra bucks to get, trust me, go get it, because it will make that listing that much more appealing.
Hey guys, how you guys doing today? I want to now just go over cleaners, and really just how to find and trade your cleaners. Okay. Yes, I'm in my car. When you guys have your business, you guys will be able to do it from literally anywhere in the world. So let's just call this foreshadowing for your futures. Okay. Now let's get you guys in a position where you guys are making money. So first things first is cleaning. Okay, so how and where to find cleaners, training your cleaners, and then really just a bonus that I have for you guys, which is just negotiating pricing. Okay, so where do you want to find your cleaners? So there's two places that I used to find my cleaning team. I either go on Turno, which used to be Turnover BNB. I really like Turno. Let me tell you why I like Turno. Because one, all you got to do is post your listing there, and then people will bid. People will send bids for your house, and then you can see the bids and you can pick who you want. Okay, Turno is good for getting cleaners, but don't use Turno. I don't recommend actually using Turno. I recommend going there to source cleaners. Don't tell anyone I told you this. I can get in trouble for this, but that's what I like to use it for. So what I do is I go send my listing there. I get like 5, 10, 15 cleaners within like the first 5 hours, and then I literally message them, okay, hey, or I schedule them in to actually come to the house. That's the best way to go about it. Schedule them in to come to the house. Tell them to check out the house. You can actually get a good quote, and then say, let's do this outside of Turno. Okay, this way, Turno, I believe Turno has like fees of like $20 or $30 per clean, or $20 per clean, or $10, $15 per clean. Doesn't matter. Regardless, we're not paying that. Okay, so you get the cleaners in, right, to the house. Tell them to take a look at it. Tell them to give you a quote based on what they actually saw, and that way you have them. And then what you can do is, instead of using Turno, you can actually just use WhatsApp for the pictures, and I'll talk about that in a second. Another one that I use sometimes as well is the Facebook groups in your city. So let's say you search up your city. So you're gonna search up Houston, Texas, Airbnb, or host of Houston, Texas, or Airbnb Houston, Texas, things like that. If you're in Toronto, it'd be host of Toronto Airbnb, something like that. You'll find it. There's huge groups. There's like 5,000 people in each group in each city. It's huge. Okay, and from there you can actually just source your cleaners. Okay, so you put a post saying, "Hey, I'm looking for this amount of cleaners." Give them an idea of how often they'll be cleaning. Just put a little bit of information. Just have some pictures of your listing, and then just watch them come in, send you messages, and then book from there. Okay. Now, how to actually train your cleaners. Okay, so you can either use a cleaning checklist that I provide. Don't either use a cleaning checklist I provide. Okay, and then always schedule them to meet in person before letting them know what you're doing. Okay, we already spoke about that. Okay, especially like on Turno, right? Avoid paying an initial deep clean unless you already have a very messy home. When you're getting started, sometimes you might have a messy home, especially if you're doing like a move-in clean. So you can't do a deep clean, but you want to always do a regular clean, and then have that regular clean almost kind of like a deep clean. Okay, so just tell them, okay, no, I just want a regular clean, but in that regular clean, add as many things as possible from a deep clean, right? And then so you can get those every single time, all right? And just push as far as you can. And if they say no, that's going to be a deep clean, okay, then you can, of course, you can wean it back a little bit. But always try to get as many things as possible in that clean for as low as possible. Okay, and then make sure they have a smartphone so they can take before and after pictures in good quality for you on every clean. That's what you want. You want before and after pictures of every booking, and then for them to post it on the WhatsApp group. Okay, this way, if you have guests who say, "Oh, this place was dirty" or "This was broken," you actually have photographic proof of the state of the house before they came in and then after. So if anything breaks, you can actually just bill them for it through the Airbnb platform. Okay. Now the bonus. So now what I have for you guys is basically how to negotiate pricing. Okay, because a lot of people get stuck in this part where they don't know what to negotiate. So it's very simple stuff. Okay, so it's going to be base cost at $30 and then $25 for bedroom and bathroom. So example, if you have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, that's a total of 4 rooms. You're gonna pay $30 for the base and then $25 per room. So now you're at $130 per clean for that house. Same thing, you have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. Okay, the cleaners must supply all the mops, the vacuums, the brooms, and any other material needed to clean a home. Okay, as well as being in charge for letting you know exactly what needs to be replenished at the house. So like toilet paper, hand soap, things like that. If something is broken, if a towel is has been ripped or anything's ripped, that they are in charge of making sure that you know that. You can either pay them and then they just go and source it, or you can order it to the house. Okay, but they have to be in charge of this. This is especially useful if you have a property out of town. Okay, perfect. Hey guys, so in today's video, what I want to do is I want to talk about how to automate your cleaning team. Okay, so this is one of those things that's going to be a little bit tricky in the beginning, especially as you're finding the right team and maneuvering through that to make sure that, first of all, you have the right cleaners. They're cleaning the place and giving you a 5-star clean every single time. They're honest and they're reliable. Once you have that, it's really just telling them exactly what to do and what you expect of them for each clean, so that you don't have to be there every single time a place is clean for check-in and check-out. Okay, so by this point, I've already taught you how to find cleaners and how to find your cleaning team. Now it's essentially giving them a system. So you have the cleaners checklist. So make sure the cleaners go through that checklist for every single clean. What we use is an app we either use WhatsApp or Slack. WhatsApp is very good if you're getting started. And what I recommend doing is having a different group chat. So you want to have a group chat and have the cleaners in the group chat, and then have different group chats for different properties, and then have one main group chat or one main group just talking about the business and talking about all of the cleans in general. And this usually I have it with the head cleaner and then my team, and then that's it. And then every other group chat just has their cleaners in it, and they're just going to be taking before and after pictures. That way everything is separated and it doesn't get too confusing. Okay, and then what you want to have is you want to have a before and after picture, so a check-in pictures. And what I like to do for the check-in pictures, I want to make sure they have at least 2 to 3 pictures of different angles within the house. I'll give you an example. Like the bedrooms, I like to have 2 or 3 different pictures. So one from this angle, one from the other angle, and then maybe a third one of just showcasing the bed or showcasing like underneath the bed to make sure that everything is clean. Okay, all you have to do when this happens is make sure that they take the before pictures and after pictures, and make sure they consistently give you the quality of the pictures that you need to be able to feel comfortable that your house is in good condition and is being maintained. Okay, the reason this is going to be important is because once you get to the point where, like, let's say there's something that happens with the listing, or someone claims that there's a damage, or someone damages it or claims that it was there, the damage was there before their booking, you have the documented proof of this happening. And that is what, you have the documented proof of this happening, and that is why this is important. Okay, you never want to be in a scenario where something breaks and then you don't have any documentation, because then you have nothing to back up your claims and you won't get the payout for it. So once you have that, they give you the check-in and the checkout. Make sure they have the checkouts as well. It's just all about making sure that they're up to date and they keep their end of it. So you give them your expectations as to what you want them to do, and you simply just have to make sure that they do it every single time, every single clean, and you're setting the bar. In the beginning, it might get tricky because they're new at this. They might take 1 picture instead of 2. They sometimes might even forget to take pictures entirely because you didn't beat on the drum hard enough. This is where you want to make sure that the standards that you want to uphold for your business are met every single time. Because if you can do that for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even for the first month or 2, they are not going to make these mistakes. Okay, but it's up to you to make sure you're on it. So in the first couple of weeks, you might be a little bit more hands-on, but after that, it's going to be a lot more hands-off. And all you're going to be doing is taking 30 seconds at the 30 seconds after the clean to make sure that the pictures were taken, and that anything that is broken, that is documented, anything that needs to be replaced, you're finding a way to replace it or getting systems in place to replace it. And that's going to be it. They're essentially going to be your property manager, your eyes on ground, especially when you're running this remotely, like I hope you're going to be. Right? So they're going to be watching everything. You want to set that expectation that they are going to be looking at things and making sure that everything is in order with the house, right? You want to make sure as well that it's going to be the same, maybe 1, 2, or 3 cleaners that are rotating, especially if you work with a bigger company. When you start having all these cleaners come in, the cleaner won't know what happened before her or him, whatever the case may be, and they might not be able to give you the fluidity of knowing what happened and really just understanding the home. So you want to have preferably the same cleaners come over and clean the house, because they know where everything is. They're accustomed to the clean. They know what's right and what doesn't seem right, right? And this way, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Once you have this done, it's basically going to be automatic. It's going to be a headache-free once the cleaners are done, okay? And then you have the laundry system, which I want to talk about as well. With the laundry, the way you want that to work is you want the cleaners to take care of the laundry. The bigger the house is, the more you want to lean towards either having them do it or take it to an outside laundry source. Why? When you get into bigger properties, the laundry takes time. If you want to have fast turnover, because the goal is to have your place maxed out, rented out all the time. So what's going to happen is if your checkout is going to be at 10 a.m., which I recommend it should be around at 10 a.m., and your check-in is going to be at 3, and I recommend it to be at 3. So you have more time for the cleaners to do their thing, because some cleans might take 3 hours, 4 hours, but you want to leave some gap of about an hour or 2 in case the people that are checking out that day, let's say they want an hour extension, you want to be able to give them that. Or the people who are checking in, they want to check in 1 hour early because they're excited to be at your property. You want to be able to have that option. So you want to check out at 11, check out at 10, check in at 3. So you have that 5 hour gap, especially if for those two reasons or if the cleaners need more time. Okay. But the thing is, having a laundry in the house, especially at 3, 4, 5 bedroom houses, it's going to take a lot more than 5 hours. If it's not efficient, it'll take probably about 5 hours or 4 hours. That's not going to be enough time for you. So I recommend, what I do with my cleaners is I have my cleaners take their laundry to a separate laundromat, and they take care of it and then bring it back. Okay. If you have cleaners that have their own separate in their own home, or if you trust that they can put in their home, or if they have a commercial laundry in their unit that they can take care of themselves, do that. Pay the difference, pay a little bit more. For me, it's about $20 or $10 more per clean to make sure that gets facilitated. But what that does is makes everything transition a lot more smoothly. And to add to this, if once you're automating it, what you want to do on top of this is you want to have 2 to 3 sets of extra sheets. That way, when they come in, they already have a new set of sheets. They're removing the old set of sheets, putting them in a bag, and then as soon as they're putting it in the bag, they're putting it in the car, and they're not worried about that. Now they have the new set of sheets, and now they're just loading the house with the new sheets. Everything is going to be clean. And then when they leave, they do the laundry there. That's going to make your system and your turnover so much faster, so much more seamless. People are going to be wondering how you do it. And that's how you do it. So you want to have 2 to 3 sets. The reason I say 3 is because if something goes missing or something breaks or something tears, you want to have just replacements for almost everything. Okay, so 2 to 3 sets. If you're feeling like you need it, and I recommend it, do 4. You don't need 4, but if you want to have the safety, I recommend going 4. But what this is going to allow you to do is not only just automate the business and automate the laundry, but it's going to help you have a way more seamless business and way more seamless turnover with. And if something does happen, you've given yourself enough time to take care of it, and you've put enough systems in place to ensure that if something were to happen, that it's not going to be the worst thing that happens, because you can already maneuver around it. This is how you automate your cleans. This is how you automate the laundry. Once this is done, this is going to be about 30 to 40% of the automations in your business, because it's a human aspect of it. It's going to get tricky at first. But once that is done, you're having a headache-free business. And that's going to be important, because what you don't want to happen is that you don't want to have the systems where, let's say you don't hire the right cleaners. Now you have a turnover happening, but you don't have anybody available for a clean. You don't want to be in that scenario. Okay, so you want to make sure these systems are set forth. You want to make sure these systems are set first and foremost, so you don't have to deal with it later. And that's going to allow you to have a headache-free automated business.
Hey guys, so now that you found your unit, you signed the lease, you've now furnished it, you've put it on Airbnb, and you've now found cleaners to automate this business. Now, what we want to actually discuss is every single back end piece of information that you will need to be able to run your business. So now, what we're going to be talking about next will be the actual back end infrastructure of how to price your house accordingly, how to automate the pricing, how to automate the systems, how to automate the messaging, and really just how to automate the entire backend, just so that all you're going to be doing is just overseeing the automations, and that's going to be it. And how to get the 5-star reviews every single time. So these things, now all the hard work has been done. Okay, so congratulations, you've gotten to the part where the hard part has been done. Now it's simply just automating and starting your automation process and building your automation processes. So what we'll be talking about now is how to build your automation processes so that everything will be hands off for you. Now layer 2, and this is one of my favorite parts, is going to be the rule sets. Okay, so when you go to your calendar, you go to your multi-calendar, on the right side hand side here, you should see rule sets. So what rule sets are is, instead of you going every single day and automatically or manually changing your pricing here by hand when you're first getting started, what you want to do is go here on the side and create rule sets. What rule sets allows you to do is change the pricing to what you want it to at scale for multiple days, for multiple weeks, or even multiple months. So you can go as far out. Let's say you know that Christmas is coming, right? So you can go as far out as December and create a real rule set that for that week of Christmas, so let's say you go to 20th to 29th. So for this week, you can have a rule set that is 20% more. So let me see if I can find mine. 20% increase. So now the price is going to be 20% higher than it would have been. And how do you do this? So what you do is you go I'll show you guys right now. So you go to create new rule set, and you call it. So let's say let's use Christmas because it's simple. Let's call it Christmas pricing. Christmas surge pricing. Okay, and you can make that a light blue color. So what I do is whenever I'm increasing the price, I make it a lighter color. Whenever I'm decreasing the price, I make it a darker color. Or what you can do is the further out it is, the lighter it is, the closer it is, the darker it's going to be. Whatever you like to do. So then what you do is the nightly price, and I like to do a 20% increase for that Christmas week. And you can have a minimum length of stay discount or minimum length of stay. So it has to be like they get that 20% increase if it's 2 or 3 nights, right? For other stays. And then you can have a last minute. I try to keep it as simple as possible. You don't want to mess around with this too much because it's going to mess around with everything and get very, very confusing very quickly, especially as you have more listings. So let's say, quick example of how quickly it can get confusing. Let's say you want to just do a 20% increase, but you have like a minimum length of stay or an early bird discount, and all you want to do is a 20%, and then you forgot about it. It would mess up your entire pricing strategy. So you want to keep it very simple. So how do you do that? By having a 20% increase, okay? No trip length, no check-in and check-out days, just keep it 20%. Okay guys, so another layer of pricing strategy is going to be rule sets. I really enjoy rule sets, and this is something that's going to be crucial to your automations of your pricing strategy, because what rule sets allows you to do is it allows you to change your pricing strategy at scale to whatever you want it to. So now let's say I'll use a perfect example, Christmas. So let's say Christmas is coming up, or any other holiday in your area, or let's say any other big event that's happening in your area. You can actually go to that area, cross that entire area, and increase or decrease the pricing accordingly, and you decide that, which is honestly amazing. It's a game changer. Most people don't know that rule sets exist, so they do it manually. You don't have to do it manually because rule sets exist. So I'll show you exactly how to do that right now. Rule sets can get a little bit there are going to be a high level pricing strategy, and that's why I'm teaching this to you, because this is how you get the slight edge over your competitors. So let me show you something really quickly. Okay, so I have, as you can see here, I have rule sets for almost everything. So 45% off, 25% off, super far future pricing, so 100% nightly increases for the far future. So I have every single thing, and I can just plug and play them as I see fit. Okay, so let me show you how rule sets work. So let's say for Christmas, keep it as simple as possible. We're gonna call it Christmas 20% increase. This helps you identify what the discount is going to be, or what the rule set is going to be. And what you do here is you increase the average price by 20%. So whatever the price was that you had it set at is going to increase it by 20 to 30%. Okay, and you simply just save it. And then you go here, Christmas 20% increase, and then you pick a date, and then you basically just go to your rule sets. You look for the Christmas, and you just press in and it automatically applies it. Okay. So that's the simple way of using rule sets. It's tricky at first, but it's very, very, very useful. Trust me on that. Next, another cool thing about rule sets is, now let's say you can use rule sets to optimize the days that you want to get booked out for. So let's say you want to optimize for 2 or 3 nights. This is how you can utilize rule sets. Okay. So now let's say you've only been getting 1-night stays, and you're getting a lot of the 1-night stays and 2-night stays, and you want more 3 and 4-night stays. What you can do is, let's say on average everyone stays 1 or 2 nights. You can actually go on like a Wednesday and like on a Sunday. So for this week, you want people to only book 2 or 3 nights. You don't want any more 1-night stays. You can actually go here. So I'm gonna remove my rule sets right now for this, just so I can keep it simple for you guys. So you can actually pick a minimum night stay. So you can pick a 2 minimum night or 3 minimum night just for these days. So every other day that you have moving forward or moving behind, they're not gonna fall under this category, okay? But what I recommend doing is creating a rule set that entices people to book 2 to 3 nights. So what does this mean? So you go create a rule set. So go to the bottom. So it's always gonna be at the bottom. So you create a rule set. And now what you wanna do is just call it so you keep getting 1 to 2 night stays. You wanna get more 3 to 4 or 5 nights. So have 3, 4, 5 night discounts. And it's optimized for 3, 4, and 5 nights. So what you do here is you decrease it. So let's say you do a 1% decrease, and I'll show you why I'm doing only 1% for now. Okay, because where the magic happens is a length of stay discount. So you can select length of stay. So you don't have 2 nights because you already have the 2 nights and you want to have more 3 and 4 nights. So what you do is you add an extra incentive for 3 nights. So you already have, if you're watching this, you already watched the first video that talked about your 3-night discount. So this overrules that discount. So if you had a 30% off 3-night discount, this rule set would overrule that discount that you have there. Okay, like right here, any of your existing discounts will be replaced with this one. So what does this mean? You can now go here and have if you had it at 30 before, and you want to keep it at 30, but just for this week or for this month, you want to increase it just so you can get more bookings, or even just test things out. You can increase this to 35%, just for 3 nights. Okay, and then you can have that, so that's saved, and you can now go to a 4-night discount. So you have the 3-night discount, then you can have a 4-night discount, and you can make the 4-night discount 40% discount for 4 nights. Okay, and you can have a 5-night discount and make that 45%. I'm just throwing numbers out here. Don't use these exactly as it is. You want to see what your numbers look like this way, and then once you have that, so you have a 3-night, 4-night, 5-night. And these are going to be more than the average discounts that you have, but it's because you want to incentivize them. So what this is going to allow you to do, number one, it is going to boost you up because you are, like we talked about, you are now going into the pricing and trying to optimize to get more bookings. So once you have that saved, what that does, and you press save here. Now for this week, from Wednesday to Monday, you have it set so that everything is going to be optimized. So if you book a 1-night or 2-night, it's going to be just regular price. So not just regular price, they're going to pay full price. But if someone books 3, 4, and 5 nights, they get a 3, 4, and 5 night discount. So what you're gonna see is you're gonna have someone book from Wednesday to Friday because it's optimized for that. Okay, and what I'd even go as far as doing is actually do this. So I go edit here, and I'd actually do a price increase of like 5%. So I'm increasing the prices for 1 night and 2 nights. Okay, but I'm actually now discounting it by an extra 30% for 3 nights, an extra 35% for 4 nights, and 40% for 5 nights. I hope that makes sense. So I've increased the pricing for 1 or 2 nights, but I've decreased it here. So when they do the 3, 4, and 5 nights, they get an extra bonus for booking these days. So now you're incentivizing people to do so. And you might be wondering, oh, what about the 1 night, 2 nights? They might not want to book anymore. That's fine because you want to optimize for 3 nights, 4 nights, and 5 nights. Okay, and if someone does end up booking a 1 night, they paid 5 to 10% more. So now that makes it more worth it for you because you're keeping more money in your pockets. So that's the beautiful thing about rule sets. Okay, you can change this. I have rule sets changed until, if I'm not mistaken, it should be changed until next year. So I have rule sets going up until next year and just changing different rule sets. If you see the different colors here, is because my pricing for my Fridays and Saturdays are going to be higher. Okay, so I have a discount here because I raised my prices, and then I have the discount to offset the increased prices. But that's how we chose to. But that's how we've optimized the pricing, and that's what rule sets are going to be utilized for. Yes, so definitely utilize rule sets. It's going to definitely assist you, especially in tracking what prices that you want to be at and attracting your avatar of guest, your archetype of the guest that you want booking your home. All right, guys. So one of the most important parts of automations, this is definitely going to be understated for a lot of you, is your check-in and your checkout instruction. The check-in and the check-in is going to set the tone for the rest of the trip, to be honest with you. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have the most clear and concise check-in instructions. It needs to be so clear that they don't need you. The entire point of making this business automated, first of all, is just so you have all your time back while making money. But to do that, you need to make sure that everything is systemized so that the guest doesn't need you, essentially. If the guest contacts you more than 3 times during your stay, that means something needs to be optimized. The first thing is going to be your check-in. Oh, sorry, that's another guest checking in. But the first thing is going to be your check-in. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to be able to provide them everything that they will need to know to be able to find your property, get the parking they need, get into the unit. And everything else should be systemized as well. Okay, so the check-in instructions should have how to find the property, how to get access to the property once they found it, okay, and then everything else that they might need during the stay. And that's going to be the check-in. You want to make sure that the check-in is sent to them 24 hours beforehand so they actually have time to go over it, and also let them know, hey, if you have any questions, please let me know, and put that in the check-in. I'll be giving you guys a check-in instruction. I'll be giving you guys my check-in instructions as well, just so you can use that. This is going to be a little bit generalized, the check-in instruction. Why? Because every house is going to be a little bit different, right? If you have a special amenity or a special code or even just a special feature in your unit that's going to change how the guest is going to enter the house, you want to make sure to put that in there. So anything that the guests might be thinking about when they're going to be entering your unit, you want to make sure it's going to be in your check-in instructions, okay? And then the checkout is going to be very simple. The checkout is going to be essentially, and I'll send this to you as well, where the towels should go, what time the checkout is going to be. Checkout should be sent 24 hours before the checkout, and the check-in should be sent 24 hours before the check-in. That way they have enough time to read it. One thing that I find works well is a brochure. So having a brochure of your house, of everything that they will need, put that in the check-in instruction. That's going to be awesome. Let me tell you one reason why that's going to be awesome is because, first of all, they're not going to need you if they have everything. That's number one. But also number two, you can add some really cool things in the check-in instruction that's going to just give you the upper hand. So what we have for our check-in instruction, just an example, is a list of amenities, restaurants, bars, and just activities that they can do once they're already at the unit. Okay, so you can have a brochure at the house, a physical brochure, and also another brochure that's going to be sent to them as a PDF or kind of like a PowerPoint, going over everything, going over what the house rules are, house rules, the quiet zones, Wi-Fi, emergency contact, layout of the house, just a lot of different things you can have in the check-in. And then during the checkout, like I said, 24 hours prior. And then what you want to have there is what they should do while checking out. So make sure that all the lights are off. Make sure that all the used towels are going to be either on the sink or in the sink, in the tub, or just someone in the laundry room, just in a designated area. That's not too much of a hassle. Don't ask them to clean the entire home like some hosts do, because they're already going to be paying you a cleaning fee. Make sure and the cleaners are going to be taking care of everything anyway. So you want to make sure that the checkout is going to be as smooth for them as possible, but at the same time as smooth for your cleaners. So just ask them to put everything from one room into one area, just so it's easy for the cleaners to take out. But that way, when they're checking in, they won't need you because you have everything systemized and you're sent over. And then the checkout, same thing. They're not going to need you. All they're going to do is say thank you. And then at the end of the checkout, about 3 to 4 hours after, that's when you're going to be asking for the review. Hey guys, so I want to go over one of the softwares that we use for automations. And what this does is this. So first of all, this is Hospitable, right? The reason we really like Hospitable is we use it for 2 main reasons. Okay, every other thing, there's other features that this software has. We use it for 2 main reasons. Number one, we use it as a multi-calendar to connect this listing with different platforms. So let's say I have one house listed on Vrbo, AirBNB, and Booking.com. What this allows me to do is to have a central hub so that if it is
booked on Airbnb, it can't be booked on Verbal. It actually blocks it up on Verbal, and vice versa. If it's booked on Verbal, it can't be booked on Airbnb. That way, you don't have listings overlapping, because that's not going to be good. So that's the first thing that we use it for, and the second is actually for our automated messaging. Okay, so you can have messaging rules here, and it sends them out for you whenever you want it to. So the way it works, you just press add new, and you can literally pick any single one. I'm gonna keep it simple, so new inquiry, and then you can type essentially what you want it to say. So hello, and you can set it up as name. See this? So put first guest name. Thank you for booking our home at, and you can write an entire message here, and it just so what this here means, for those who don't know, it automatically populates the guest that it's going to be attached to. So whenever you have a new booking inquiry, that name is what's going to pop up here, so you don't have to do it every single time. So that's a really cool thing I like about this. So you have it. I'm going to go back here, so you can set this up for literally. So the way we have it set up is first morning checking instructions for a few different houses, checkout instructions, and then we have other questions. So if you have questions here, I'm going to go here. So you have all different sorts of questions. So fireworks, infants, kitchens. What we have the questions for. So number one, we have it for Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is going to be a good one. So if someone asks, what is the Wi-Fi password? Even though it should be on your listing, some people do miss it, because sometimes people just miss these things. So when they ask about the Wi-Fi, you don't want to be typing it every single time. So you have it automated where it just automatically sends them what the login and the password is. Another one is going to be for parking. So different things that it's going to be on a listing by listing basis. So it's going to be really depending on your listing and the common questions. So if you ever have any common questions that's going to be asked, then you want to just automate it by add a messaging rule. And then as soon as they type in those keywords like Wi-Fi or parking, then it automatically sends them the message. If you want it to be set where it requests to send the message out and you have to approve it, that's fine too. But I do find that it alleviates a lot of back and forth if it just sends automatically. So that's hospitable. That's going to be for really just automating. This is going to be a huge, huge, huge feature for you when you're scaling your business, because of the way the messaging works. It's going to save you tons of time, and the multi-calendar, which is going to save you a lot of headaches, especially if you start using different platforms. So at this point, you literally just finished something most people will start, but wouldn't even dare finish. You just finished a 4, maybe 5-hour training on everything that you need to start your own Airbnb business in 2025 and in 2026, from beginning to the end. Like, congratulations are completely in order right now. But not only do I want to congratulate you, I want you to know that you've done something, you've accomplished something huge. And at this point, you now have everything that you need to be able to build your own Airbnb business. Like, you have everything foundationally that you need. Like, this is enough for you. You can go and you can run with it. So because you were able to do something amazing, I want to give you 2 gifts. Number one is I want to invite you to my free Skool community. In this Skool community, you'll be able to speak with not only myself, but other people who are in the Airbnb space or aspiring Airbnb entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own Airbnb businesses. And you'll be able to share ideas, philosophies. And another really cool benefit was earlier this year, I actually flew to one of my students' Airbnbs because I was staying in that city, and I stayed at their Airbnb. So you can start building, and you can really just start building these networks within this community. So that's number one. Number two, and this I think is even better, and number two is within this community, what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to me and message me in this community, and I will give you, and just let me know that you finished the free course, and I will give you access to a free one-on-one consultation with either me or somebody from my team to go over a game plan and strategy plan on how to actually implement these things. Because now you have 2 decisions, and these are very important decisions that you're going to have to make. It's number one, you take this information and you do nothing with it and just let the day go by as it was before. And number two is you take this information and you run with it. I am truly of the belief that now that you've gone through this entire thing, it is now your responsibility to go and build a 6-figure Airbnb business, if not for yourself, then for the people around you. It is now your duty to go and do so. And in this strategy call, we're going to be going over the exact step-by-step plan to implement and to act on these things so that in the next 3 to 6 months, you're well on your way to making $5, $10, $15, $20, maybe even $50,000 a month on Airbnb. It's all possible. It really just depends on
what the biggest determining factor is going to be how large your mind is. First things first is congratulations, but now the question is, what happens next? What are you going to do from here on out? Your actions in the next 48 to 72 hours after taking this course is going to dictate what your life is going to look like in the next 3 to 6 months. So choose wisely. Hope to see you inside.